everyone. Wait! This is Yami dying on Army Time.
Jesus Christ! I ate a nut. It was a bad move.
Hi everyone.
It's Army Time! Part 2!
Part 2. So, welcome your hosts. This is Yami and that is Billie. Because we have changed our hair colours, now we are emulating one another. But yeah, welcome to the show.
So just to let you guys know, I said part 2 because we recorded this for a whole hour, and then my computer exploded, and none of it got saved.
Oh, isn't life wonderful?
Yeah. So what we're gonna do today?
Can we get a shade room, please?
We're gonna take a detour. Okay. Yes.
I fucking hate technology so much. And this has nothing to do with BTS, but I just need to run right now because we recorded for a whole hour and that whole recording is now gone. Let's continue and have a happy episode. Back to the screen.
Anyway, what we're going to do today, what we're going to do right now, is I'm going to give you a recap of our recap from the last hour, and then we're going to keep going, because I like to pride myself on having a pretty damn good memory, so I should be able to do this.
Yeah, before we did this, Yami was like, we could re-record it. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
She basically told me to fuck off without saying fuck off. And I was like, okay, someone's not in a good mood. I don't know why I'm so laughy. I think the worst life gets.
I will recap this, and I will be able to use my memory skills to be able to remember everything that we talked about and list it off one by one. And I will sit here drinking my coffee while you do so. Please go on.
Yeah, the more shitty life gets, the more I like to be in a peppy mood, because it's either that or cry, and I'd rather just laugh hysterically, because that's always good. So, anyway, let me pull up our schedule. All right, so, well, first... and the first thing we talked about in recap, and pretty much all we talked about in recap for a whole fucking hour, and we weren't even done, was we talked about the new album.
Can I just stop you for a second? You sound like you're in 1.5 times speed. Like, I was like listening to you, and you were like, so the first thing that we talked about was that we were talking about the promotion, and I was like, wait, am I watching this on like 1.5 speed right now? That can't be true because it's live.
I'm really amused by this.
Okay, sorry. Please continue. I
So,
interrupted.
for a whole fucking hour, and we didn't even finish when my computer exploded, was us talking about the new album that BTS is coming out with on November 20th called BE. And it's just hilarious to me that in our whole schedule of things that we wanted to talk about, we didn't even get to anything else. So
this is number one.
We were stuck on number one. So let me summarize for you what we took an hour discussing. We talked about the fact that we really appreciate that BTS have let us in so close and allowed us to be part of the process of making this album and not just the audience at the end, and how it's really cool that this time we get to be a part of the journey and not the destination. Man, don't we sound so smart now that I'm just summarizing this?
I know.
So, like, we really appreciated the fact that out of all the artists in the world, most artists don't like letting people in this close because it takes away the magic of how they make music and how their talent just blossoms into this amazing music. And slowly, bit by bit, BTS has let us in closer with each album, and culminating in this album where we have been so close to them throughout the process. So many lives of us seeing how their like brainstorming sessions come together, how they combine ideas, how they talk amongst each other and try to collect everyone's thoughts, how all of them took their roles in the album making process seriously, and how it was so interesting to see that, and how special it was that we get to see them on this level when it's such a rare occurrence for this to happen.
What she said.
Yes. And then we also did talk about the fact that, like, their promotion thus far has been incredible. It's been this really fun countdown, and how we see their personalities reflected in what they're actually doing, and how they first started with, like, the mirror version and the reflection version of them walking across the, I don't know, down a hallway, I guess. And how it was really cool that we could see it from multiple perspectives, and how we interpreted that as actually, like, it was on purpose, that they were taking this one event that was them going down a hallway repeatedly and looking into a mirror, and we were given multiple perspectives, one being the mirror, which you could say is us as the audience, and one as us over BTS's shoulder, which you could interpret as us being part of the process. And how me and Billie both said that of those two perspectives, we enjoyed both of them, but what we preferred and enjoyed even more was being the behind-the-scenes version, because we felt included in the process, and there was so much more information and things to enjoy and glean and learn about them through that perspective.
Yes.
Okay. Then we talked about how they had all of these in, like, their incredibly curated rooms, and how they were so visually stunning, and yet how at the same time they were so reflective of themselves. And it was really fun for us to go through each room and talk ad nauseum about how we appreciate what they've put in, the commentary that they made, how much we learned about them as people, and how we were surprised by some of the rooms. And how others made us really appreciate that person deeper. And we also
Oh,
talked.
we had such a soft conversation about Jin. It was so soft. I'm sad that we don't have that. We discussed at length how awesome Jin is and how he talks to people like an equal and brings himself down to your level and talks to Army by teasing you and prodding you and being like, hey, hey, I'm cool, right? And then giving you some really nice advice on how he's the best person ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like we went through and basically did an homage to each one of them because we really appreciated that they let us in this much. And
Mm-hmm.
also, we also pointed out that if you are not a fan, if you're just the general public and you see all of this, you can enjoy it. You can think it's really cool, but it's only if you're Army and you've been with BTS along the way and you've been following them and like experiencing all these events in real time with them that you appreciate it on such a deeper level. And that we found it really cool that it's this same concept, right? Like it's the product of what they've given us, the content that they've showed us has not changed, but based on who we are and our perspective, we gain deeper meaning into it.
Yes. We are more than just the mirror.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh,
So yeah, we discussed that and we also talked about how it was so fascinating that they could take the same base structure of the room being exactly the same shape with like doors and lights and a sofa, but like completely create it into their own original thing. And it kind of speaks to how like BTS is this room, but each of them fill it up like with their own personalities and with their own special take on things.
so yeah, so that's what we pretty much spent our time talking about and just loving on BTS,
Yeah.
and how proud we are of them and the fact that they've been able to develop themselves artistically so much over the years and how the way they've done this album, the way they've promoted it, all the things that we've seen that have gone into it, it just demonstrates their artistry and how much they've mastered it and how much they've developed their skills in it.
Yes, and how they've added all different elements from art, like we've discussed during the concert, like how they kind of did curate their own exhibition to promote their music and to showcase themselves. And it's just a very personal and interesting and innovative way of creating music that I just find very special. What I was saying when we cut off was like it popped into my head, how cool would it be if they built one of those houses, you know, those like houses that people have sometimes in performances that have all different rooms, and it was like each of their rooms. So you had like one, two, three, four, five, six, and then one at the top, and it was like all of their rooms, and they performed like Life Goes On in each of their rooms. How cool would that be?
Interesting. I'm trying to figure out like what, like as a stage with like different rooms.
Hmm.
Well, that would
I've
be
seen
so
this people do
cool.
it before. Like I don't like her, but Camila Cabello.
Her
Uh,
Grammy performance. Is that what you're
it was
thinking
the
of?
Grammys. Yeah, I think she performed Havana, and she
Yeah.
had like different dancers in like a house, but they were like separated into rooms. And it
Uh-huh.
would be really, really cool if they could create that into like the BTS house, but each of the members like performed in each of their rooms inside
Mm-hmm.
this house. That would look awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. I'm getting a better idea of what you're saying. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Hmm.
I just really like the fact that we talked about this before we got cut off. So I'll reiterate to say that I think it's so special to be let in so close and to see the creative process. And
Hmm.
something that I have found is that people who aren't creative don't seem to understand that the creative process is a journey. And along the way, you develop skills, you develop new ways of thinking about something, you find different methods of expressing yourself artistically, either through your own trial and error or through discussion with other people, through collaborating. And if even if the final song, the final idea, the final concept, whatever, doesn't make it onto the album, it doesn't mean that it was a wasted journey because now all
Yes.
the skills and all the experiences you've had along the way, you get to keep that and you get to take it forward and put it in other artistic endeavors and you get to make other kinds of art with it. And it's not a just like you failed this project, you know, you're not a worthy artist. No, no, no. Being an artist is a repeated way of improving yourself over time and exploring yourself and how you express yourself artistically. So
Yes.
I just think it's so special that we get to see it. And even when we get to see people people's things not becoming the final product, or hearing that somebody got feedback about whatever they wrote. Like, it's normal, it's special. And
Yes.
I'm trying not to make, I'm trying to keep this positive and not go into shade room, because I don't want to give time to people
Yes.
who don't
Agreed.
appreciate this. And I think only actual ARMY appreciate this the way it's supposed to be appreciated. Like, you have to be ARMY in order to enjoy this correctly.
Yes. Okay, I've been reminded of a couple more things we spoke about. So first of all, about their lives and things of letting us in before it's released and giving us like everything away. So we spoke about how it was interesting to see them discuss the music video and how they each had different ideas, like of being outside, of filming at the concert, of filming at home, blah blah blah. But it was really nice to see them kind of bounce from idea to idea to idea before like combining things and incorporating things into one thing. And therefore, when we actually see the music video, it's going to be really meaningful that we got to be in that discussion and be a part of it and witness it coming to life, and how much more meaningful it will be because of that.
Yeah, well, I think it's so interesting. I don't know if it would be like this for every artist, because we talked about before how for a lot of artists, revealing this much, pulling back the curtain this much, is scary, because they worry that the image and the legend that they've created in people's minds of who they are would be revealed and stripped away, and what's left would be something that people wouldn't be interested in anymore. But the
Well,
special...
this is the interesting thing, isn't it, about like celebrity and everything? Because the definition of celebrity before BTS was somebody that was out of reach, somebody that was larger than life, somebody that you would look up to and want to be and want to reach and achieve. And they were this like presence that could not be emulated. Whereas BTS's whole philosophy is that they just want to be seen as normal people that are at the same level as you and who are easily understandable. So I think
Well,
that's
that's
where,
very special with BTS.
yes,
And I mentioned before that I recently rewatched Burn the Stage. And in episode 1 of that documentary, the first ever documentary, they specifically talk about how they want to let ARMY in more. They want us to be closer to them, and they want to figure out how they can give us more of themselves and be more honest and less filtered without it negatively impacting them in some way. And I've, watching over the years, over the documentaries, over their live streams, how much they've revealed to us, culminating in how much they've shown us of the music making process in this album. I think it's so commendable that they've been willing to keep bearing their souls. And I also think it's specifically because they have a fan base like ARMY that it was received well. The reason a lot of us care about BTS, the reason a lot of us like them and are so devoted and so passionate about how we feel about them, is because we feel like we know who they actually are. We get the sense of what
they're our friends.
They're our friends, and we can tell what they think, and we can understand their feelings, and it's very sincere, and that's why you root for them all the more. And so because it's us, because you have this kind of fan base, that's why them revealing all of the things that they've done have made it even more special instead of less.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? Like with other musical acts, their win is their win. Like if you are helping them to win, you're helping them to win.
Yeah.
Whereas with BTS, it's like we win together.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's our win.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's just the you have a personal stake in it, and it's just, we've talked about this before. But before we move on from B, which we are very excited about, we were talking about how good it is to have the Calm Before the Storm talk about this before it's released, because next time that we come back to you, there will be the album. We can talk about it in detail. Also, I think there's going to be a lot of production credits on this. I'm pretty certain that Jimin has a song on this album.
Oh,
I'm
really?
sure of it. Yeah, because in his live he was talking about, like, he was kind of skirting around things, and he was like,
Yeah.
I haven't
watched
been
it.
able to, yeah, and he was like, I haven't been able to like talk about, I can't talk about the song, and I'll
He
come
was
back afterwards.
yeah, he was hinting. He's like,
Yeah.
he didn't say he'd come back afterwards, but he was hinting at it. And the only time they come back to talk about an album is when they feel like they've had a personal stake in what's on
Yes.
it. And usually,
Yeah, and I have a theory that it's the one that's like Fly Me to My Room. I think that's the one that Jimin wrote.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Ooh.
But yeah, so
Okay.
before we move on fully, let's talk about Life Goes On a bit, because I am so convinced that this is going to be another spring day, that it's going to be very mellow, that it's going to be very touching. And like, because when I was thinking about this earlier, And when you think about it, they haven't had any ballads as their single apart from
Truth
Spring Day, right?
Untold? Well, no, that's a subunit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I think you're right. They haven't had any slow songs. And like the slowest or the most low energy song they've had recently is probably Black Swan, but that's more
yes,
trap.
exactly. Like, that was the one that came to my mind. I was like, Black Swan is a lot more philosophical, but still the sound of it and the vibe to it has a groove. Like, and even like things like I Need You, that's still very like, it has a groovy feel. Like, and even Spring Day to a certain extent has the electronic sounds, but it's done in a much more subtle way. And like, I would say Spring Day is definitely a ballad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that Life Goes On is gonna be another ballad, and I'm very excited for it
Mm-hmm.
because just from certain things that they've been hinting about, like, oh, this will go, like, this vibe will go with the tone of the song, or and like the fact that they talked about how like it'd be nice to make like another type of Spring Day.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really happy about that if it is. It's
Yeah.
gonna be
Can we talk about here? I don't know if this was later in our discussion that we wanted to talk about this, but they had the freaking live stream on YouTube where they unboxed
great.
their own album.
Hmm.
And
Before it's released.
yeah, and the thing is I love that everyone on Twitter was like freaking out because we're all like as a fandom like we agree, do not leak the album
Yeah.
or the songs or the concepts, like keep it all to yourself, like
They were
because
even singing their own songs. The melody that JK was
yeah.
singing was in my head.
Yeah, where it's like they're like, how are we gonna unbox our album across the table? But then they showed us the poster. They're
Yeah.
humming the music. They're making commentary about like, oh, you did this, and like I think one of their staff is in the background also saying
Yeah.
like, yes, this was yours, blah 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 blah. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, this is a massive flex. This is
Yeah.
them being really proud of their work, so proud that they can't keep it to themselves, and being so excited that they can't keep it to themselves, which is an infectious energy that we all,
Yeah.
are having. And then it was also fucking painful because we're like, excuse me, we have to wait a week, and you
Yeah,
have
like
it
you were
now.
just sitting there and showing it to
thank
us.
you for nothing.
I think it also implies a lot of trust, honestly. I think it implies the fact that they are at a point when they feel like their albums are going to be bought and purchased, and they don't have to dangle bait for it to be bought. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to be like, ooh, what's coming with the album? It's a surprise. Wait and see. Like, they can literally show you everything that's in the album. They can tell you how many songs they're going to write, what the music video is going to be like, what themes they're going for, blah, blah, blah. And they know that their album is going to be supported because there are so many people that love their music and will support them and are behind them. And that makes me really happy.
Me too. And also, I kind of get the sense based on the price point, based on the fact that they had this unboxing, that it seems like where it charts, like it hitting number one, would be nice, but it's not their priority. Their priority is showcasing the fact that this came from them, from their heart, that this was completely them. That's their priority. They want to be appreciated for that, not for how well they can play the game to climb the US charts. Because who gives a fuck about that after Dynamite?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was just going to add, is that it's very interesting that this comes after Dynamite, because as we all saw from Dynamite, like, it was very much a let's see what we can do with this. So let's see how we can play the game and see what happens if we play the game. And we also saw that it didn't really feel that satisfying to them. And so I feel like with B, it's more just like, this is our work. We want you to feel good. We put how we feel into this. We really like put our hearts and souls into this, and we hope that it helps people. And we don't really care about what numbers it reaches, because like we know that if we wanted to cheat, then we could get number one with everything.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just not what we care about.
And not cheat, but just like play the game
not cheat.
Play the game better with the rules that other people have created. But I will say that BTS
underestimate ARMY's ability and love for them to want them to win always.
Yes. But also I was going to say, because Dynamite is included on this album, all units sold for it will count towards this album. Yes. So from my opinion, that was BTS kind of saying thank you to ARMY and giving us a leg up, because people were freaking out of like, oh my god, now we have to break our own records with Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
Like after all those resets, like there's so much work ahead of us. And this was BTS saying, no, you can build off of that. Like, calm down.
Yeah. I think that BTS recognized that getting that number one, and especially like on the Hot 100, on the Billboard, whatever, getting those like record breaking things. It used to very much be about exposure. Like we wanted them to gain recognition and to be seen by people so that they could grow. But now they are the biggest band in the world, and these records are more just to make us feel happy and proud of what we've managed to achieve. And obviously it's nice for them as well. Like I'm sure they feel absolutely great about it, but it's not like they're not sitting there like we want to get number one. It'll be great if we get number one, but we
That
are.
hunger,
We do feel that
you
way.
know how hungry they were for that
Yes.
before? I feel like that hunger is gone.
But armies have it 10 times over. Armies are
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm getting the number one. Like, we're doing that. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right that like adding dynamite to this, it just gives that like, because I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere, I don't know how accurate this is, but somebody said on Twitter that like with the amount that dynamite sold, it could make a number one album just from that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Who knows? But I'm just very excited for this album, honestly, because like it's the same for me. Like as much as I really want them to win, and I really want to try hard for this single to get number one, just because it will feel great having their Korean single as number one as well.
Yes.
I'm just looking forward to this album on a personal level. Like I just can't wait to hear it and just to play it and to feel it.
Because you want to know BTS on a deeper
Yeah,
level. That is
exactly.
so I know yesterday Billy and I had this discussion about how frustrated we get when it seems like BTS doesn't understand why they're popular and
Yeah.
why they connect with so many people around the world. And like granted, we'll get to this about how like they were talking about it in some of the good articles that came out recently, but I still don't think it hits upon that. And my personal theory is that BTS actually connect. Like as humans, we want to be close with other people, especially people we care about, and by hearing their music and their thoughts that invoke emotions in us, we get this we feel that those were the emotions that they felt when they were making that music, and that emotional connection is how we go, I feel your sincerity, I feel your honesty, I can see who you are. And then like that's also then reinforced through all of the content we get of them with lives, behinds, Bangtan Bombs, memories, Bon Voyage, BTS Run, like all of the things they do that put them in front of the camera and put them in front of us allows us to reinforce our idea that we do understand them, that we are connected. And then like that bond is why they're so popular, because they open themselves up to it and because we want it back. And so we're connected to them and we're connected to each other in this community. And it's a feeling of love and sense of belonging, that safety and comfort that you don't get anywhere else. Name me one other place where you are as welcomed as the ARMY BTS community.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Exactly. And we spoke about this yesterday about how it's like it's frustrating because like we were saying that we don't think BTS understands what it feels like to be an army, but it makes sense because they will never be able to know BTS. Like, and Yoongi was saying, what I was talking to you about yesterday is Yoongi was saying on one of his lives that he never really understood why people felt so connected to their music. Like, yeah, they talked about things and like it was great, like they put their thoughts in it and stuff, but he didn't really understand why people felt so comforted by it, because he just writes it and then makes it and then releases it and hopes people like it. But he went back and listened to a lot of their older music and he said, like, I think I understand now why people find it so comforting. And it must have been the closest he could get to being an army and to listening to BTS from the outside, but they're never going to actually get to do that. So we came to this conclusion that like they don't really understand, because they don't know how it feels to listen to their music, to feel so connected to what they're saying because of the relationship that comes between us, and to feel so understood and to have those moments where you listen to it and you laugh and you cry and you feel that, because
and you feel that surprising shock that somebody else understands you.
Yes, but what we kind of concluded with was also, but they get to experience ARMY in a way that nobody else does. And so in the same way that we feel that bond to BTS, to their music, and we feel comforted from them, they feel it from ARMY in the same but different way. Like they will understand why they love ARMY so much, and we will understand why we love them so much. And maybe that's
and they will be. So BTS are the only 7 people who will never be able to experience BTS, but they also are the only 7 people who will only ever be able to know and appreciate ARMY in the unique way that all of our love and attention and support is directed at them 7 and them 7 alone.
Yeah, and we got very soft about the fact that BTS save us, but we save BTS too. And actually saying that, that reminds me of a quote from one of those great articles. I sent it to you because it was so beautiful and it really made me like emotional. There was this part in this article, and so the question was, RM, you said at one point that if you can bring people's pain down from a 100 to 99, 98, or even 97, the value of BTS's existence is enough. How does it feel when people reach out to you and tell you the songs you wrote and performed saved their lives? And Namjoon replied, I'm doubtful if I'm worthy of receiving such comments. On the contrary, it's those very people who have pulled me back from the edge of the cliff down to 98, 97, so you can say we are saving each other's lives. And I think this exactly represents what I was trying to say, that like he doesn't understand why armies love them so much, but what he does understand is why he loves armies so much, why armies have saved him. So it doesn't really matter if he doesn't understand why we feel this kind of love for them, because he feels that kind of love for us. And I think that's what's really special.
Yeah, and the other thing I will say is, like, if what we value in them is their honesty and sincerity, then from their point, they're like, I'm not being anything special. I'm being myself. Why are you into me? And it's like, because you are you. You are doing your best to thin the veneer between who you should be and who you actually are. And that is so immensely appreciated and adored by us. Because it allows us to feel that our love for you is genuine too. Because you know how many of us struggle with that feeling of you fall down the rabbit hole and you're like, is this real? Am I really this into these 7 Korean men? Like, why am I so into them? Why am I so obsessed? Like, why do they make me so happy? Is there something wrong with me? Like this isn't normal, right? And it's not normal because we're so used to celebrities, especially in the West, celebrities being fake. Everything is manufactured and fabricated, and none of it is real. Not the relationships, not the feuds they have, not the promotions they do. All of it is put together
to present them as something out of reach. Okay, so quickly the track list. So we had it along with D7, so I was wondering if we were going to have a countdown, but then we didn't have a D6 today, so I guess not. But
it's the weekend. They're taking a break.
Maybe. But yeah, so we had the track list. I'm excited for them. I'm not sure which one I'm looking forward to the most. Maybe Blue and Grey, because if it's Tae's song, then I'm very excited.
I don't like to speculate like this. Like just personally, I like to go into it blind because I want to experience it. And I do not like having to adjust my expectations because what I thought it was is not reality. I'd rather just have no expectations at all.
Understandable. And yeah, so they will be performing it for the first time and Dynamite at the AMAs, which is on the 22nd. So that's quite exciting that
How
we're getting
far they've come that their comeback stage is the AMAs.
I know, it's awesome.
Like, having comeback stage at SNL, at the BBMAs, and now AMAs. Like, first, also, that idea of... I think I've talked to you about this before, but I can't remember. The idea of a comeback stage is something very uniquely Korean, unique to K-pop, in my opinion, that every time you make an album and release music, it's called a comeback because you're coming back with music. But now, like, your first performance of it is very hyped up because... You go the extra mile for it, and you want to present the performance as, like, here's my treat for you. Now,
and you want to get on the best broadcasting networks as you can.
Yeah. And so prior to BTS in the West, that idea of, like, oh, this is the first performance that this artist is doing of this song wasn't really a market. Like, it wasn't promoted like that. It wasn't a thing. Like, no one here cared.
Because they would just sing it, like, live, or maybe, like, have a performance. It wouldn't be, like, a whole set design, the unveiling of the choreography, like...
Yeah, well, mostly because our Western artists don't have choreography, let's be real. But also, it was, like, the pinnacle of that song's visual representation in the West was supposed to be the music video. That's the best it's going to be, because the artist doesn't have to sing live and can focus on the visuals and the... dancing.
And honestly, music videos have been going out of fashion for a long, long time now. Like, when you think about it, music videos used to be very, very popular because TV was a thing and there was music channels that you would literally stick on and watch, and it'd be like, in an hour's time, we have the unveiling.
Live.
yeah, of the new music video on like MTV or something like that.
Yeah, MTV
But
Total Request Live.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like things like that aren't a thing anymore. Like people don't really watch music TV channels because there's YouTube and
Yeah.
there's Spotify and things. So even music videos aren't really a thing anymore. Like it's just kind of this song is being released on Spotify at this time, or it's playing on the radio at
And
this
no one
time.
ever cares about the time it's being released.
Exactly.
Because in the age of social media, like, convenience has now become a big factor in people's lives, and they're like, I will watch it when it's convenient for me, not when you premiere it. Except, and then here comes Army, and we're like, it's being dropped at midnight. I want to be the first person to watch it. And part of it, in my opinion, is the fact that your consumption as a fan of BTS content begins with you, your enjoyment of the content begins with you consuming it, and then the second part of it is you going online and talking about it with other people and reliving it through everybody else's experience.
Oh, no. I just realized if you go and if you're watching this as a replay and you rewind 20 seconds, you'll see my entire life just fall apart because I've just realized that the album comes out at 5 a.m.
Billie, I thought that it was lagging. I legit thought that we'd broken this again, and I was about to be very upset that it broke again.
I was thinking, and I was like, wait, because my mind went to, oh yeah, that's like when I woke up at like 4 a.m. to watch the comeback stage on James Corden's show, and then I was like, I'm so glad it's not going to be like that this time around.
Is it? When is it coming out?
It's coming out at 12 o'clock EST.
I win.
For some reason, I thought I was 5 hours behind you, but I'm not, which means it's at 5 a.m. BTS.
Billie, just be
Damn you, America.
Damn
America. Why have they changed it so that it's in American time scales?
Just go to bed early. You are an old lady now. Just go to bed at 8. And then you can wake up at 5, and it'll be fine. It'll be
fine.
You can do it. It's better than if it was at 3 a.m. The second day of Map of the Soul 1 was at 2, 3 a.m. for me, okay?
Oh, that's fine. I can stay up for that. Oh, anyway. Okay.
What was I saying?
I am very excited for the album, and it's very, very soon. Less than a week.
I was saying something smart.
Sorry, I got very distracted by my life crumbling to pieces in front of my eyes. Okay, so let's move away from the album. We had the postcards as well, which we will be talking about more in detail in FUNTIME. So hold up for that. Let's leave that here. Yeah.
BTS reacted to fan covers of their songs on Glamour.
That was awesome.
First off, I don't know about you, but there's been a change in promo. It used to be that BTS's appearances on some publication, some news channel, whatever, was teased and promoted for several days in advance of their appearance. And we got used to that. And it had its pros and cons. Pros because you knew it was coming. Cons because then you had expectations develop, and then if it wasn't as impressive, people would bitch. But now, like, their appearances just get dropped. So, like, this video from Glamour with them appearing on there reacting to fan covers was just out of the blue. All of a sudden, it was out there. And everyone on my timeline was like, oh my god, go watch this. It's so great. And part of me kind of likes that.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the surprise element a lot. I really enjoyed watching this. I thought it was so cool because they picked a lot of variety of different covers and things, and they were all great. It was really interesting to see how they'd taken on the songs. What I will say that kind of bothered me is that they picked all English covers. Like, I get it, kind of, but like, you didn't have to pick all English covers. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Well, hold on. Didn't some people sing in Korean?
No, it was all like English covers. It was all English. Like, people changed lyrics to English.
No, Fake Love. Fake Love was sung in Korean.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah. Because I really like that heavy metal cover. I like rock. I like heavy metal. That's like we were playing our warm-up, and I'm like, that's my go-to genre because I like really intense stuff. And I like that spin on that song. And I saw that cover when it came out way back when. And I just wanted to say, what I thought was the most touching is that you had BTS react to these covers and appreciate them, and then you had the fans see BTS's reaction and see how touched they were. Yes. And that made me very emotional because a lot of the time when fans of BTS music make stuff like our channel, like the covers. Like, you make content with zero expectation that BTS will ever see it. You make it for the fandom, which goes back to my idea that, like, BTS armies have big connections to each other because we're so big. Like, we make the stuff for ourselves. And the fact that it was, like, the off chance that BTS saw this, it's just... A lot of them felt like they were in disbelief when they watched BTS's reaction. They were like, oh my god, wow, thank you. And they didn't know how to react.
Yeah. I think the thing that I found most touching about it was, like, I felt like BTS were going to go after that interview and, like, rearrange their own songs. It felt like they were watching it and they're like, hey, that's a really cool idea. Let's all go learn instruments so that we can play it, like, with a live band. That'd be great. Like, I really liked how they almost, and I think it happens a lot, like, they're always inspired by armies. They're always learning from armies in the ways that we're learning from them. And I think when you're on one side of it, you can think that it's very one-sided. Like as an army, I can think, oh my god, I'm so inspired by them. They're always helping me and teaching me things and making me feel happy and comforted. But, like, I do that for them too by being a part of this. Like, it's a very two-sided relationship, and seeing something like this really reminds me of that, of how inspired they get from armies and hearing them talk about armies' charity projects. And do you remember that interview that they did with Liam McKinnon at the Grammys? Is it Liam?
Yeah, Liam. I don't know what the interview that you're talking about is, though.
But he had an interview with them, and he said something like, armies are so proud of you, and, like, are inspired by you or something. And Namjoon was just like, we feel the same. Like, we're proud of you. You inspire us. Like, and it really was so sincere. And you don't really think about it a lot, do you? But they must see the things that armies do and be so proud and so inspired. And
I'm sure that they get really smug periodically about what we do. They're like, yeah, we have the best fandom in the world. What do you have? Nothing.
Yep. Oh, I hope that they do. I really hope that they do get smug over what we do. Like... That's the best.
And that goes back to also, like, them watching the Glamour, the videos on Glamour, and then being inspired. I totally agree with you. I think they were inspired, and that goes back to, like, what the creative process is. You see a different perspective, a different interpretation, and that gets your own creative juices flowing. Like, it doesn't end just because they made the song. Any of their songs doesn't mean that that's the end of that song. It can be reinterpreted, redone, and that's also kind of what they do when they perform their songs in concert, when they perform it at the year-end award shows. They reinterpret the songs. They put different instrumental arrangements for it. They have different outfits. They extend the performance and have, like, befores and afters. They combine songs, like when they did for MMA 2019. Like, there's more than one way of doing something, and it doesn't mean one way is right. It's just different, and that's why people not fans of BTS who criticize them for allowing themselves to get negative feedback or be criticized or be out of the running for the song that gets picked. Those people don't understand how art is made.
Yup. Yes. It's like, if I'm creating something, even just us with this video, if I'm thinking of an idea and you say, I like that, but what about this? And then I go, hey, that's a really cool idea, actually. And that made me think of something else because you inspired me with your thoughts. And now I have this other idea. And then we're like, hey, both of our combined thoughts are better than one. Who knew?
And also, I will say, our video exploding made us, like, you were like, no, I liked the way we did it. And I was like, you know what? That's not the only way we can do it. We talked for an hour about something that was only part one of our list of things to talk about. Let's summarize it and let's build off of that, because now that we've, we can shorten it and make it more succinct and then build on those ideas. And that's just a different artistic interpretation of something that already existed.
Yeah, exactly. And we will have another conversation about this later. But let's move on. So, point number 2, Yoongi's had a surgery.
That's point number 3 or 4. Or why do we have numbers?
I don't know. It's because we have subsections. It's like 1A, I, 1A, I, 1B, 1CI. That's basically how our plan goes.
Anyway, Yoongi had a surgery.
Yoongi had his surgery. All went great. He was adorable on Weverse, and so was Tae, and so was Jimin when he went live. so happy to hear about this. Honestly, like when I saw it, I got really emotional just because I was so pleased that he'd been able to make this decision for himself,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Mm-hmm.
he'd been able to go through with it and it had all gone well, and he was recovering, and he'd just said to himself, you know what, like, I'm going to have a rest. I'm going to get this. I'm going to be brave about this. I'm going to do this for my health in the long run. And I'm then going to take a rest and be out of promotions, and I'm going to be happy with my decision. And that made me so happy.
You know what, though? The fact that he chose to do it now, I think he's trying to do it and recover so that he's back by year-end performances.
Probably. Yeah, because I mean, this might be weird, but whatever. I care about him. What are you going to do? Kill me? I like researched into a lot of like what this injury was, how they treat it,
Didn't
how
you
you
see
recover.
the medical armies on Twitter like explaining what that surgery is? Oh, I did.
No.
And that's when I was like, I love this fandom. We cover every
Yep.
weirdest like
It's like, oh,
knowledge
someone
base
had a
ever.
surgery. Where's the medical army Twitter?
Yeah, and we're like, we got you covered. Let's spread this information. Like, Army's bonds with Army are so strong that, ugh, I just love this fandom.
Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
I know. But yeah, so I researched a lot into what it is, what it means, how you recover, what your surgery is, blah, 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 just because I wanted to just check up.
Yeah. Okay, share. What did you learn?
But basically, like, what the gist of what I got was that like it can be a very non-invasive procedure. It just, like, if they do it a certain way, you just like do it where you make a slit in the skin and go in and just fix it, and then you just have to rest and recuperate for around 3 months before you start getting physical therapy. So like you have to spend a lot of time not moving it at all, and so I honestly, I don't know if he will be okay by year-end shows.
Maybe, yeah. I imagine he's not coming on camera then, because I bet you it's like taped up so that, or like this one, so that it doesn't move,
you have
right?
to keep it in the same position for like a couple of weeks at least. I think it might have even been a month, like that you have to have it and not move it at all, and then you have to go through physical therapy to get it back to its like original standard. But what we spoke a little bit about this yesterday, and I just think from what I'm gathering from him and from Jimin's discussions about their health and things like that, is that they're reaching an age now when they're thinking about the long run, and they're thinking about the fact that they're going to the military fairly soon. They want to be healthy for that, but they also want to be in a state where they are able to find something sustainable so that they can continue performing. And I'm really happy that he made this decision. I think it's very important to note that he chose to do it before the release of a big album, which means that
that's not the end, right? Because if it was the end, then he would be like, let me get through the performance and then I can get my surgery. And this was...
I think they've all been very swiftly running towards a goal and then be like, okay, and then we'll take a rest. Whereas I think this pandemic's probably given them time to think and time to pause and time to say, hey, we don't want to give this up. So how can we find a way that is a lot more sustainable and manageable? And Jimin has talked about how he's thinking about his health a lot more. And it just makes me really, really happy to see that, because we see in their documentaries and docuseries how hard they push themselves and how much they break their bodies to perform at their best possible ability. But like, they don't need to do that. And I think they're realizing now that it's more important to be healthy and stable in the long run. It's like what Hobie said to JK in the docuseries about how you don't have to, like, you're not a good performer if you give everything you've got and then collapse. You are a good performer if you know how to sustain a performance at the same level for an extended period of time.
Yeah, completely. I mean... You sound so smart now that we had this discussion yesterday, but like you're echoing everything we talked about.
I know.
Like,
but this was why we started talking about how we were frustrated with them, because we were like, we don't love you because you break your backs on stage. Like, we just want you to be healthy, okay?
Yeah, but something that I did want to just like say is that rewatching their very first docuseries, Burn the Stage, they talk so much in there about how like this might be the only time we're ever performing in this country. I don't know when we'll be back. I want to give it my all. Some of these people might never see us again, blah blah blah. And like they have this like, you have one shot, make it count mentality. And I feel like at that time they were in a part of their career that was very uncertain. They didn't know how much more they could grow beyond the Wings tour, because they didn't know, there was no example for them to follow. The Wings tour was like the pinnacle of what a Korean K-pop artist had succeeded up to that point. And the fact that they pushed beyond that and they ended up releasing the Love Yourself albums, and then the Love Yourself tour was freaking world, like it was a world record breaking tour. The amount of money, audience, locations, like it was insane. The amount of milestones it set, and then the fact that they continued after that into Speak Yourself, and that was even huger venues, more people, more like tickets and money made. And I think though that they carried forward that mentality of you have one shot into those as well. And because they did that, and they didn't have the time or the space of nothingness like they have now with the pandemic to think about it, they started acting in a way of like, let me keep going and keep performing and just like put band-aids on my injuries and try to like suck it up and suck up the pain and deal with it, because this might end soon and I want to get everything out of it that I possibly can. And then because of the pandemic, it kind of was a wall that came up in front of them, and they had to stop the race that they were running and actually reevaluate. Yeah.
Snap!
Reevaluate how they could make this more sustainable, because they realized like, hey, this is like a pseudo end of my career, or like the absence of it because of the pandemic, and they can't do what they usually do, and they didn't like it.
Yes.
They missed ARMY. We've talked about this before, how much they realized that they don't want their career to end. And that's why they've begun to think, like, how do I make this keep going? How do I make this sustainable? How do I run the marathon and not the sprint?
I think it speaks to two things. I think the first is that they want to be with ARMY for a long time, which is what Jimin had said about why Yoongi chose to have this surgery now. And I think the second is that I feel like they are finally comfortable. And let's look at Young Forever. Like, that song is about, I don't ever want this to go away. I want to be young forever. I want to stay as a boy. But now the situation is you don't need to be young. Like, this will continue as you grow older if you want it to. But you're not going to have the same body. And if you keep pushing it like this, it's going to break. Like, you can't continue like this. And so now is the time to start thinking about your health, to start thinking about how you can look after yourself a bit more. And that's why I think I got so emotional when I found out about this surgery, because I was just so happy that he'd made this decision. And I mean, we could see that it was hurting him, and it has been for a long, long time. Like, we know what Yoongi's like. He bloody went for a year with a dislocated shoulder and didn't even complain about it once because he was trying to fulfill his dreams. Like, he's insane, in a good way, I mean.
Yeah.
But there reaches a point where if you want to keep doing something, then you have to take the responsible option, and you can't keep pushing yourself like that. And I'm just so happy that they seem to have come to that point.
And I love that you bring up that song Young Forever, because think about at what point in their career it was written.
Exactly.
It was written in the latter half of their original 7-year contract, where they didn't think there would be a renewal. They thought that that was going to be the end.
Was it?
Well, remember, we learn in Break the Silence that they almost didn't re-sign, that they were having a lot of issues and they thought they might disband.
No, but I think Young Forever was written very early in their career. Because it came out
2016. I don't know.
I think they've said that they wrote it younger, but anyway, it doesn't really matter.
But still, their mindset was still the same, that like that's going to be the end. Yes. And now they
say, I know I can't hold on to this forever. I know this is going to be gone, but I still want to chase this anyway. But like, I think the fact of the matter is, when you look back at their situation now, like, they could be musicians forever if they want to be.
Yeah, but that's only something they've just realized now, right? Because at that point, they're only...
And that's where the comfort comes in.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, when they made Young Forever, their only point of comparison was other K-pop artists, other Korean artists, and how there's usually only one big contract, and when it ends, they don't re-sign a second time. You have people who go off to have solo acts, who go off pursue other careers in other fields, but that's pretty much it for a group. And that was their idea of what would happen to them. Yeah. And then as time went on, as they became even more successful, as they realized there is no more comparison for us, there is no guideline for what we're supposed to do, we have to figure out our path forward ourselves.
Yes.
They began to think about, well, like, how can we make this sustainable? Like, there are, the way we do it now, there's parts of what we do that make us unhappy, that we're not satisfied with, that are too much, that are unsustainable, even though we fucking love what we do. And that's why after that period of turmoil, they figured out how to re-sign with the label in a way that would be sustainable and that would make them happy. And so with time, I think they've now also reconsidered and reevaluated their health and are like, all right, well, if I'm going to be doing this and I've decided I want to keep performing, how the hell do I do this in a way that's sustainable? Well, I have to address the things that I've been living with as like, this is just me, this is who I am. I have a fucked up shoulder, or I have a fucked up neck, or a fucked up knee or leg. Like, these chronic problems are also just very human, in that humans don't like to, we just suffer. We're like, this is the way we are. Like, we just have to keep suffering. So it's just, I think it's so, it makes me so happy, like you said, to see that they're like, no, I've taken steps to address my health because I want to build a better foundation for what I'm going to do going forward.
Yeah. And my last thing I'd say is just that, like, they constantly have to forge new paths. And I feel like they were still living on that Korean Idol path of, we're young, we have to be young, we have to be available, we have to be like very fit, very healthy, constantly working, never having a break. Like, that's what it means to be an idol. But now they're having to forge a new path, and like you can tell, like with their new contract, like they had a break. Like, they have to forge something new ways to perform, to redefine what it means to be an idol. And that really makes me so happy, because there are so many boundaries on idols in Korea and in the West of like what you can and can't be. You have to be fit and healthy, you have to be single, you have to do these things. Like, you don't, and it's unhealthy, and it's not sustainable, and it's just grinding something until they're nothing.
It makes them disposable, that kind of mentality.
Exactly. And I'm very proud of BTS, and I'm very proud of Big Hit for forging on this new path and this new way of being a celebrity and being a musician. And I'm so on board with the whole thing. And I think it might have taken them a while, because when you're living in this environment, like, you feel like that's what you have to be. That's the expectation that you have to meet, because that's what it means to be an idol. But they have had to redefine before, and they will redefine again. And
well, now that we phrase it this way, so you and I have talked before about how culture is it's a way of viewing the world. It's a set of expectations, priorities, values. It's a perspective. Yes. And people who grow up in one kind of culture have one perspective. So if you grow up in South Korea and don't live anywhere else, then your perspective of the world and your values and the way you perceive that people have to act in the idol industry, for example, in society is the like we know, we've talked about before, I think, that South Korean culture is very hardworking. Like, they believe that a good person works all the time, and the harder you work, the better you are. And I think that is reflected in how BTS have worked so hard and run themselves ragged trying to do this, because they feel like that's what you're supposed to do. And because they've been exposed, though, to so many other cultures around the world, and because they've spent a significant amount of time in the Western culture, where that's not always the priority either. There's different things that are valued in Western cultures. They've begun to
create their own,
like merge the two, take the best aspects they like of both, create new values that they themselves appreciate that are different from both, and they've created a new perspective, a new approach. And that, to me, I wonder if that is also a perspective thing that goes back to their album.
Very interesting.
Could be a reach, but I don't know.
No, I think it's very interesting. And honestly, like, I love this shit, because this is why I study culture. This is why I love culture. I love learning as many different societal norms as possible, because you are only exposed to one if you do not look outside of it. But if you look outside of it, you can experience multiple different ways of being, not even just in cultures, in society as a whole. How you behave how I would behave as a daughter, how I would behave as a friend, how I would behave as a student, how I would behave as this, as that. Like, the more that you expose yourself to different expectations, the more options that you get to choose from, the more that you can define what you want your culture to be. And that's what BTS is doing, is they are understanding the culture of everything that they're going into, and they are redefining what it means to be BTS, what it means to be individuals. And it's just fascinating to me to watch them develop their identity, to develop their work style, to develop everything they want to do with their lives and with their careers. And I think it's so fascinating.
Same. All right, what comes next?
Okay, so BTS won the award for 2020 I always do that, Innovator rather than Innovator.
Innovator! Wall Street Journal, a WSJ Magazine.
BTS won the award for 2020 Music Innovator at WSJ Magazine. They had a video and edition of the magazine.
W.
How was my accent?
Horrible. Oh, I forgot the S. Fuck it, I can't do this. Uh,
How was my accent?
it's terrible.
So
That
this
came
was
out of the
awesome.
blue.
That was so unexpected. I saw it and I was like, wait, what even is this? I had to ask you what WSJ Magazine was, which
Yeah,
stands for Wall Street Journal,
yeah,
as you taught me today.
it's tied to that. I mean, they did say that this is usually a closed awards ceremony, attended in private, so it's not publicly available. But it was just
Mhm.
interesting that it was only the day before. All of a sudden, everyone on my timeline was just like, well, "What's this?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay." I signed up to watch it as well. Blah blah blah, and it was so sweet.
Oh, it was so cute. I really liked the article. There are a few things I was iffy about, but overall, I think they tried very hard, and that's what I appreciate. I think they really did their research. I think they asked insightful questions, and you could tell that
Yeah.
they were very interested and very respectful, which I enjoyed.
Yes,
Also,
that's exactly what it is. It was
yeah,
respectful. It was recognizing them for what they've actually done and
exactly.
what kind of people they are and how they've moved and shifted the industry.
Yeah, and even if they
Yeah.
didn't understand, like they still were putting interest and respect on something that they might not understand. And I thought that that was just, that's all I ever need from somebody, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. And
Also, can we just talk about how this is the perfect award? And it links back to what we were saying, music innovator. Like that is exactly what they are, what they bring. I think that defines BTS excellently.
mhm.
They are true contemporaries, as we've described before. They forge the path, they create something new that other
Yeah.
people tend to follow. See the retro theme going around, which you've informed me of.
Yep.
But anyway, they're constantly creating something new because
Yes.
everything that they create comes from themselves. Like they are inspired by outside of things, but then they mix it up in
Internalize it. Yeah,
themselves.
they
They have
internalize it.
conversations with other people, they learn, they take in perspectives from different cultures, societies, people, and they create something that they want to create from the inside out. They don't take things from the outside in when they think that was good and that worked for that person. I'm going to do that. Like that's why they are innovators, and this award and this description of them makes me very happy.
Yeah. Did you watch the live stream?
I watched the 5 minute clip. I didn't
Yeah.
know there was a live stream.
Yeah, they live streamed the awards, and it was just like clips of all of the people who won the awards, and they were number
Mhm.
two. And I was also very proud of that. I was like, they were introduced as like when they were promoting the
Mhm.
awards, they were always like the second name that was introduced of like featuring blah 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 and blah 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 and blah blah, and then they were actually in that order in the
Oh,
video. I was like, this is a very respectful and honest way of awarding people. You didn't use BTS for clout.
yes.
You were honoring them on the same level as everybody else who was being honored on this live streamed award show. And
Mhm.
I thought it was just the fact that they were being shown to the community that is involved in the
Yes.
WSJ magazine, the innovator stuff, like the audience for that was being introduced to BTS from a perspective of not like, oh, look at this like pop sensation.
They
There's
have obsessive fans.
yeah.
It's like look how they've changed the industry.
Yeah, I'm like, this is acknowledging the truth, and this is so
Yes.
honest, and I have a lot of respect
Yeah.
for the fact that
And
they
it's
did that.
yeah, and it's like I say, like I had a couple of issues with it. Like I took issue with the comparisons to the Beatles and how they were described as innovators in a similar way than as the Beatles were described as innovators, because it doesn't take into account their cultural context. It doesn't take into account the barriers that they have to face. Like it's one of those people that said it's like saying, oh, I don't see skin color, everybody's
Mm-hmm.
the same, I
Mm-hmm.
don't see it. It doesn't take into account the fact that some people have to deal with certain prejudices that make it more difficult for them. And by being that and by saying that, then you are turning a blind eye to the fact that actually the fact that they've won this award despite everything else means that they've had to work twice as hard as that. But like I say, I could tell that it wasn't done in a way that it was like
Derogatory.
trying, yeah, they wasn't trying to diminish them or to make them look bad. It was just a little bit ignorant, I found. And
Yeah.
I can forgive ignorance
When it comes
sometimes.
it can be forgiven when it comes from a respectful place, not from a
Yes.
I don't I'm ignorant and I'm being condescending as a result.
Yes. And I mean, I think also that what's important with this is I did see a few other people had some issues with this, and I think there was an article written about it, but none of it was done in like a oh, they're so horrible, I can't believe they did this. But what it might do is start a conversation with the people that run this award show into thinking about what they did and why it was wrong and how they could address this in the future, which I think is a very important thing to be able to do.
And I think that that's how you start those like you need to shed light on something and then have a conversation about it. That's how you grow.
Yes.
And so that's why whenever Army points something out and journalists instead take offense and freak out over it, I'm like, this is a sign of your insecurity.
You could learn. You could actually take note of what people are telling you, and you could make yourself less ignorant to this. I don't think there's anything wrong with being ignorant, because a lot of the time society teaches you to be ignorant and to turn a blind eye to things. But what I do think is wrong is that when somebody tries to explain to you why you're being ignorant and why it's damaging, and you're like, oh, I didn't do anything, that's when there's a problem. Like, listen to marginalized voices when they speak to you. It's that simple.
I agree completely. I just think this to me is more significant than them being awarded by Billboard, by some award show tied to the music industry, because of how much this fandom has uncovered the corruption and payola and
there unhealthy, is nothing sincere.
All of the unhealthy relationships between all the different aspects of this industry that all have a symbiotic relationship to get whatever random act they want to the top, because we know that it's not a meritocracy. It's just people exchanging money to profit all based off of some imagined success. It doesn't mean anything ananymore.
I tell you what, let's quickly segue into that another article that we wanted to talk about, which was the one that was titled Like Dionysus from Eidolon. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I think this is something that BTS have realized recently, and we've had our theories about this, in that at first it seemed very much like, wow, I can't believe that we're being recognized by like these award shows and these charts, and oh my god, we're being invited to the Grammys, how amazing, that's awesome. But then they've gotten there and they've seen that it actually means nothing, and the whole thing is just fake, and it's a facade of importance. It's a scam. Like, it's like people saying,
a scam designed to make money. It's a scam designed to make us at home pay more money.
Yeah, and to keep the positions of hierarchical power structures in place, because it's like, oh, you should be so grateful that we're inviting you into our circle because our circle is the best ever. And then you get into the circle and you get invited to the party and you sit there and you're like, how are you convincing anyone that this is the best party? How are you managing to do that? It's all a scam. It's all fake, and it doesn't mean anything. And I think that that's the point where BTS are at now, of like, we thought that we wanted to be included in this industry, we wanted, it's like Beyonce said at that, remember the class of 2020, and Beyonce gave a speech? Well, I know you didn't watch it, but she said a part of it about, oh, you did?
I watched the whole thing.
Oh yeah, it must have been someone else. Yeah. But she said something about how like they won't give you a seat at the table, and a lot
build
of the
your
time,
own table.
Yeah, build your own table. But this is the thing. They won't give you a seat at the table, but every now and then they will give someone a stool a few yards back from the table and be like, hey, isn't our table so great? Aren't you so happy to be included in our table? And then you get there and you sit there and you're like, what the fuck is this? I'm going to go build my own fucking table. I don't want any part of your table. Your table is fucking shit. You have put a filter over the top of it. You have edited it to fuck on fucking, what's the editing software called again? Photoshop. And you have like presented it as this incredible thing when it's literally like sitting in a garbage bag.
And I know we're talking about this metaphorically, but to translate it into physical examples, I'll give you one. Them performing at the Grammys, right? They've always wanted it. But what was presented to them was 45 seconds as part of someone else's performance. And you can see them, like, the halls they walk backstage are your typical, like, arena hallways, like, nothing special about them. And I compare that to the, like, places they go to perform in Korea, and how, like, very nice some of those places are, and how everything's, like, very nicely made. And also, like, the way they were interacted with by Western staff, artists, like, it was, like, randomly meeting someone in a hallway, and the other person was just like, it's so nice to meet you, blah, 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 let's take a picture, bye. And, like, it's very empty. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, one brain cell. Like, there's all, like, even when you...
And you could see them, sorry to interrupt you, but, like, you could see them after they finished that performance with Lil Nas X, like, we should be grateful. We got a spot, you know. We were allowed on the stage. We should be grateful, right? You could tell they didn't feel grateful.
Yeah, and it's because they're performing and they finish performing and they're like, I don't feel like I care about recognition from other Western artists for my performance. I only care that ARMY was here and was screaming their heads off when we were on stage. That made me feel good and appreciated and loved. And it sucked that I only had that for 45 seconds because I wanted to hang out with ARMY more.
What was that article I read? I can't remember what it was. It might have been one of the ones that we've included, but there have been some great articles lately. But there was one talking about Dynamite, and it was like, in BTS's vast discography of creative, sincere, emotionally charged, intellectual discography, the fact that they had to water down their sound with Dynamite, with the lyrics they wrote, and make it the most simplistic version of what they can do in order to be celebrated in the West,
It was this one.
just goes to show how not up to par the West is and how much better BTS are. The fact that they had to create something that was easily digestible, and they said so themselves, like, oh, you know, Western audiences, like, the lyrics are a lot more easy to digest, it's a lot more fun and catchy and than we usually do. Like, the Western music industry sits there as if it's on a pedestal, but then everyone who's better than them has to lower themselves to be able to compete. And that's just bullshit. And I think it's coming to light to everyone. Ugh.
And the thing is like, this isn't to shit on Dynamite because
no, not in any way.
The amount of work that actually went into that song by, you know, the people who wrote it.
It's a great song.
Yeah, and worked with BTS. Like, the reason that song, by the way, still manages to have meaning despite the fact that it had to be so bubblegum poppy is the fact that the people who wrote it, the songwriters, specifically tried to make a song that BTS would appreciate, that BTS's fandom would appreciate. Like, I've read the interviews where they talk about how much time they spent trying to think about what would make this fandom happy. They were still trying to write a song to us, and that's why it became so popular. Because,
and I think that the main thing that's important to take away from Dynamite is the reason it was made. And the reason it was made was to cheer up BTS themselves while recording it, to make them be able to feel lighter and to have a more positive experience during this difficult time, and to do the same thing for armies, to give armies something to smile about, to be happy about, to just like not think too much about. And I think that's very, very special. And yeah, it's like you say, like, me saying that is not me in any way shitting on Dynamite, because it's fucking amazing. I adore it. But it is very simplistic in theme, in lyrics, in comparison to their other work. And that's partly because they didn't write it themselves, and partly because it was meant to be that way, and because it was English. Like, but it just goes to show you. And it's like when you see their performances at American award shows versus their performances at Korean award shows, and yet everyone tells you that the BBMAs and the Grammys and the AMAs are the best award shows in the world.
My ass.
It makes no sense.
I have watched more music award shows in the West since I got into BTS than at any other point in my life. And I have never been so disappointed with what's been in the West. Like, if anybody ever follows me on Twitter during any of these, while I'm waiting for BTS to come on, I shit all over them. Oh, you weren't around. What was the last one that they were on? MTV? I can't remember. One of the most like recent ones.
The VMAs.
Oh, it was BBMAs. BBMAs were so fucking... They're so fucking bad. I'll just say it. I really don't fucking care. I was so disappointed, right? I live in the West. Before BTS, before I got into all of the way we examine the Western music industry and Western award shows, I was like, oh my God, yeah, the West is the best. It's like where everybody should strive to, you know, be recognized. And I watch these award shows now and I'm like, you actually fucking suck. Nothing is entertaining. Nothing is interesting. And if you look at the stats of like the viewership, it drops every year. And only when they have BTS have the like viewership gone up again. And unless if BTS isn't at the end, the minute like BTS perform, we all turn it off and we're like, we're done, because it's so bad. It's so cringy. They're not even fucking trying. And you can tell in some of them, and I think it might be the MTV, the VMAs, where they're trying so hard to project an image of like, we're great, we're having a party, this music is amazing, we're gonna talk to so many famous people today.
I hate it so much.
And people don't want that anymore.
I don't care.
Like as I think you and I talked about how maybe our generation, millennial generation, was the generation that prefers realism, honesty,
Yes.
truth, and
Rawness.
and I think it was the generation maybe before us that appreciated hype more.
Yeah, it was very much about
Yeah,
putting on the best possible show that you could.
yeah, and I feel like the executives that are in charge of the Western music industry are from that generation and older, and that's what
Yeah.
they still think people want to see, and they don't understand that the younger people, the predominant market for music, people who are actually interested in music enough to actually be willing to watch those award shows, don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
They have different values.
It's so cringy. Like, I hate it. I hate the hosts for those types of shows. They drive me insane. Oh, but no, I think what's interesting and what I find interesting about this whole process is that what tends to happen is you pretend you're the best and you sit there and you're like, we're the best. Nobody can beat us. We're amazing. And and then you become very complacent, you become very lazy, and so the best, you might have been the best, but your best goes like this, and all of a sudden you're saying you're the best, but you are at the fucking ground, you are doing nothing, but you're still convincing everyone you're the best. But then you have someone like BTS come in from the outside who is different to you, who runs miles around you and makes you look like a joke, and everyone's like, you're the best? Are you fucking kidding me? What the fuck is this? Everyone's lazy, and BTS shows them up, and it makes me so happy. Like, that's why nobody wants BTS around, because BTS shows them all up and shows that we're not as good as we say we are. We're just pretending. It's
Yep.
all fake.
Agreed. And that's why, going back to the article that we were trying to talk about, why that article was so good, because it was also
Yes.
written from the perspective of someone who's Korean American,
Yes.
who also straddles those two cultures, those two perspectives.
From a different side.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's that whole idea. I talked to you before about how I felt after Love Yourself and after Map of the Soul 7, the next place that BTS would explore is identity.
Yes.
And what, cultural perspectives, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that's what's happening. So anyway, I felt like this author of this article was specifically talking about how it's a conflict between being proud that BTS is finally being recognized in the West and being disillusioned by it at the same
Yes.
time, and both pissed off at
Being angry.
at how people treat something so beautiful, and also like both wanting them to understand the truth of why
Yeah.
BTS is so special, and also taking it away because people who can't understand already don't deserve BTS.
Yes. And this is the thing that makes BTS so important, because something like BTS comes along and people from marginalized cultures who come from underprivileged groups and minorities sit there and are like, you've made me feel like I'm not good enough my whole entire life. Look at this group. Look how amazing they are.
They give you
So
hope.
what the fuck have I been doing? Why have I been feeling like I'm not good enough?
I
Are you
am good
fucking
enough.
kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why am I comparing myself to you? You have nothing. Like, and it makes me so happy. And that's why I love BTS so much, and why they're so important for these types of people, because I've talked about this before. It's about being a true contemporary, and being a contemporary means unveiling and being able to see something that others can't see because they are completely submerged in it. We are submerged in our culture. This is how we live. This is how we are expected to view the world. This is the way it is. Like, if I'm not from a Western country, I'm immediately not the best. I'm not as good as everyone else because they are telling me that they're the best at everything. So that's how I'm going to feel about that, because that's just the way life is. And then you have BTS come along, pull up this veil, and everyone else goes, what the fuck?
Everyone's like, I'm naked. Put the veil back down.
Yeah, but like they left it and they go, no, 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 this isn't the way it is. They're pretending that this is the way it is. And you have been made to feel like this is the way it is, but this is not the way it is. And I'm going to show you how it can be better, how it can be different. And the fact that they are able to share this and to show this to people and change people's perspective outside of the readily made environment that we are all submerged into is amazing.
Mhm.
And let me share with you one of my favorite quotes of all time. Okay, I think I've shared this with you before, but I will share it with our viewers. There were two fish swimming in one direction and an older fish swimming in the other direction. And the older fish says to the two younger fish, morning, how's the water? And they swim on. And then one of the younger fish turns to the other fish and says, what the hell is water?
I love that.
You know, like, it's basically saying, like, when you are living in something, you don't see it until somebody points it out to you. And BTS is the older fish that will unveil, that will point out to you that we are in water right now, and you better open your eyes and see it because you deserve more. And that makes me very emotional, very happy, very proud. And they are true contemporaries.
Yes. And I did also want to say, though, that I don't think BTS always do this actively.
Agreed.
Because they are still humans.
They realize it themselves.
Yeah, I think it's just their experience and their journey. And as we follow along and go on their journey with them is what opens our eyes. It's the process of doing it that pulls back the curtain.
Yes, and I don't think BTS is sitting there like, we see everything better than everybody else sees it. They just experience it. And this is what I mean by, like, I feel like they went through some time of being very grateful, being very honored that they were being accepted at these award shows, and wow, like, nobody else has ever been accepted at these. This is an honor. This is amazing. We really want to get a Grammy, and we want to perform at these great things and get all of these great things because that seems amazing. But then it changes and it doesn't feel the same, and it feels very different. And that's what I loved about this article, was getting that perspective from somebody that is different to me. That is, I think they were Korean, yeah?
Korean Americans, yeah.
Korean American. And hearing from them, it was just everything.
Do you think that this is kind of what Yoongi was writing about in his new mixtape?
You mean that he had to cut out?
No, like the parts that, like, the ideas of, like, I am successful, I've gotten, but, like, you really shouldn't envy me for that success.
I think it could definitely be up to interpretation. And I think that, what do you think, especially when it says Billboard #1, what do you think? Next to Grammy, what do you think? I don't think it was bragging. I think it was saying to Billboard, to the Grammys, the fuck do you think? I've infiltrated, bitch. Like, ooh, that's how I see it.
I like that. I like that interpretation.
Really, that song is very much slyly, and this is what I mean, this is the one he censored a lot. I think it was very much him saying, you can't stop me, I see you, and look what we've done, and we're coming. And it's the same as Namjoon in that Sultan Road remix, the one that he performed at the Grammys. Like, I'm gonna get your money with my homies in your backyard or something like that. Like, I'm gonna come to your home, I'm gonna steal your shit. Watch me. Like, I am so sure that they see this, so sure. And I think it's becoming more and more clear. And I think that this will be the next thing that they're going to be able to change. Speculating here is that they are going to shine a big, big, big light. And I really hope they do.
Me too.
Okay, so next news, just a quick one, is that BTS will be performing alongside other big hit labels artists at 2021 New Year's Eve's live show, We've Connected. I think that's what it's called. It wasn't very clear.
It's like a subtitle.
Yeah. Okay, so my quick 3 cents on this. Number one, I have been waiting for a family concert with big hit artists for so long. I mean, I know we kind of got it with the Lottie GT3 concert, but I'm just very excited to see all of these artists in one place. And with BTS headlining, of course, it's going to be awesome. It makes me very happy. Number two, it's so cool to see BTS go from the Korean New Year's Eve to Times Square New Year's Eve to now just being like, you know what, we're just gonna make our own. Like, we don't need any of you. We don't need the bullshit Korean broadcasting sites. We don't need the American appeal. We can create our own New Year's Eve, and we'll top and outsell every one of you bitches.
Well, you know why they're doing it.
And number three is that I love the shade that they have literally done it at the same time and same day as the most popular New Year's Eve show in Korea. And oh my god, please, if there is a Lord to pray to, please let us break their record for the highest number of streams, because like, I really, really hope that Big Hit's New Year's Eve show gets more views than Times Square's show and the Korean one, because that would just be the icing on the fucking cake, and I would brag about it for weeks. I know. Care. I'll be annoying. I'll be that annoying army that's like, ha ha, we won. What are you gonna do? You got nothing. And I will enjoy it. I
mean, the thing is it's the NBC year-end festival. They did this to themselves.
They did. It's so stupid.
Because they were trying to throw around weight that they didn't have.
They were making power plays.
Yeah,
but they had no power.
Exactly, because first they complained that BTS wasn't coming on their show because they were going to the New Year's Eve show in New York, and there's nothing that, like, nothing was going to change, but they still complained about it. And then they blacklisted TXT, GFriend, and then
Yep.
subsequently after the merger with whatever company has a 17 and New East, like
Gladys.
something like that. Yeah, they blacklisted them from their festival as well. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you destroy your relationship with the juggernauts of
I'll
the
tell you
music
exactly why, and it
industry?
makes me very happy. Every villain's weakness, pride.
Yeah.
They are so fucking proud because they've been on top for so many years and they've been able to push everybody around and be at the top of the power play. And even though they see their ship sinking, they're like, we will never drown. And then all of a sudden they're dying at the bottom of the sea. And it's like, I have
Yeah.
no sympathy for you. You did it to yourself.
Yeah. And I really, I think what none of these shows ever understand is when something is live streamed, it is army around the world who crank up the numbers
Yes.
so high.
Yes.
It's because we're all waiting for BTS and we're all over the globe, so we have to rely on the internet live stream in order to watch it. And the minute BTS isn't somewhere, we don't care.
Yep.
We're going to follow BTS. Why? Because they've consistently delivered to us a high quality experience watching them perform. Yep. And now that you're throwing in every other artist at Big Hit, and the fact that most of us understand how important Big Hit's generosity and how well they've treated BTS all these years are the reason that BTS have thrived so much, we appreciate Big Hit's other artists as well. Even if you're not like a super fan of any of the other artists, you still want to support them because they're under this big label, and you want Big Hit to continue so that even more artists can be treated well in the future.
Because of their philosophy as a company and how they want to treat people. And I just think that this whole thing plays out as like a bad drama.
Yeah.
Like
bad soap
like,
opera. Yep.
Yeah, like a bad soap opera.
It's a very stupid
NBC,
plot, and it's very
NBC are like the pitiful villains that will never admit defeat and then just end up just ruining themselves. And we sit there at the end like,
yeah, I don't care. You took away any reason for me to care.
And the thing that made you so intimidating in the first place is now pitiful, and we're all just laughing at you. Sorry.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, so I remember seeing somewhere that now that BTS is really, really big, when they go to shows in Korea, they are treated very, very differently. And the broadcasting companies have to cater to BTS now. Whereas before, all idols would have to cater to the broadcasting shows because they had the power. Now they can't touch BTS because BTS is the one that brings in the ratings. BTS are the one that they want to be in their show. And the fact that NBC are so fucking proud that they're not willing to do that, that's fine. You keep doing that. Like, you're gonna die out.
It's the start of a new era.
So, we spoke about this briefly and you didn't understand, so I'm ready to talk to you about this. So, we had a special BTS front episode, 2 of them, with world champions SKT T1, which I think they've changed their name just to T1, including players such as Faker. Oh my god, how exciting. So,
please explain to me why this
nerdy
matters.
brain on. So, I play League of Legends, and I watch the leagues that they have different ones in like Europe, in the US, China, Korea, and other places like all over the world. It's basically a gaming thing, and you have like pro gamers. It's the biggest league in the world, really. Like there's like millions of dollars invested into this. It's broadcasted all over the world. It's like one of the most popular things ever. So many people I know in my life that have no idea about like BTS will know about League of Legends and about the gaming shows and the whatever. But it's very, very, very big in like the gaming community. And this team, SKT, are considered like the living legends of this game.
Wow.
Like they have won the world championships multiple times. Faker, who was on the show, is literally considered the best player in the world.
Wow.
He is remember when they had those like the Pride of Korea, and you had the Korean director, I can't remember his name now. You know who I mean. The footballer who's really, really famous. BTS and Faker. Faker is the 4th one.
Gotcha.
So he is like somebody who, and this game is something that put Korea on the map as like like this is one of the things they're known for. They are amazing at this game, at League of Legends. They always win. They're the team to beat. Faker is the greatest player who ever lived. Everybody's like, oh my god, it's Faker. He's amazing. He's my idol. Like, so the fact that they had an episode with this team, it's like two titans coming together from different
Wow.
industries. It was insane to me. And when I saw it, like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I knew about Faker and SKT before I knew about BTS. Like, they
Oh
were
wow.
my link to Korea that I knew about. And I
Hmm.
couldn't believe it. I was gobsmacked. I was like, oh my God, BTS is meeting SKT. Like, that's how I felt about it. And
Oh
that's how you
wow.
know it's insane, because
Uh-huh.
it's the other way around. It's like, oh my God, wow, they're meeting BTS. BTS are like my friends. So, but I was like, wow, they're meeting Faker. I hope they get his autograph. This is amazing. And they even played, one of the games they played was on the map for League of Legends. And I just thought it was so cool. It was so significant. It was
Yeah.
like two of Korea's greatest achievements coming together.
That's really
Oh,
awesome. And I did see that they like had like a karaoke session. That was really cute.
yeah. I loved how over time they got a lot more comfortable. But what another thing is really cute. So did you see the one with blue hair from the gaming team? He had like bright blue hair. His name was Teddy.
Sure.
No? Well, anyway, he is like a really, really big V bias. He's a big fan of V, and the reason he dyed his hair blue was because of V in Blue
Oh,
is Love.
yeah. Okay, I did see clips of that on Twitter.
Yeah, and it was like, I think it was like a year ago. It was at the League of Legends Championship, and he dyed his hair blue, and everyone's like, "Why have you dyed your hair blue?" And he's like, "Because of V from BTS." Like, and it was so cute. And yeah, I just thought that this was so crazy, and
The clashing of two worlds.
yeah, it was so
And then I
cool.
saw that by the end of it, they became friends.
Yeah, they did. It was really sweet.
That's
And
good.
do you know, this is the funny thing. Namjoon kept calling Faker Hyung, but Faker is younger than him. Like,
Oh.
that's how like much of a presence this guy has. Like, he thought he was older and he called him Hyung because he's like the greatest player who ever lived.
Oh, that's so cute.
It was the best. I was so
You
happy.
know
I was
what?
like, oh my
I
God, it's
hope,
Faker.
I know that, like, they met for an official reason, but I really hope that their friendships actually continue because I think probably they would be the only two groups of people in Korea who understand each other's struggles.
Yeah, I think I just thought it was very cool. I loved the episodes as well. They were adorable, especially what was his name now? I just remember he was the top laner because I'm like they each have roles in the game, and he was the top laner, but I can't remember his name. It began with something. He was adorable, and when you look at their ages, all the members of SKT are like below 21. Like
Oh,
some of them are like 17.
wow. Wow.
They're very, very young. Yeah.
That's nuts.
So I think it was really sweet seeing BTS interact with them because it was like they've been around for so long, and BTS obviously know who they are because they play League of Legends all
Yes,
the
they
time.
do.
Like you see them playing it so
And I
often.
like how
And
weren't they playing it during Bon Voyage and then they had the screen
yes.
blurred out and but like you can tell by the incessant tapping on the keyboard. I'm like that's League of Legends.
Yeah, but in the soup, they had full on
Sorry.
conversations about it.
That's what I'm talking about. Not Bon
Oh,
Voyage in
yeah.
the soup.
In the soup, yeah, they had loads of conversations about it though. They were like, "Oh, like which item should I buy? Which item should I buy? Oh, I'm gonna play as Garen. I'm gonna play as this character." And like, I was like, "You're so talking about League of Legends right now, and this makes me so happy."
Yeah.
Okay, so final point. They had an interview, one of their first interviews in America, and they were asked like who their favorite gaming player is and who their favorite team was, and they were like, SKT T1, and they were like Faker, and it was ages ago, and it just made me so happy.
Oh, yeah. I remember the interview.
Yeah, it's the one when Tay is like, no, when he gets referred to as the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh, that's really sweet.
yeah, it
I'm
was
glad
just
that
really
happened.
nice. Oh,
I wonder
I
if
loved
that
it.
actually happened before or after in the soup.
Oh yeah.
Because
I mean,
maybe
they have played it before because I've seen them
yeah,
playing
but
it.
maybe it happened before in the soup, and that's why they were so into talking about League of Legends when they were at in the soup.
Probably. Yeah, I think you might be right actually because they usually film their run episodes like a year.
Several months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But saying that, I think they did say that it was filmed under COVID guidelines. So I don't know. I don't know, but it was just really cool. I liked it a lot. I remember texting a few of my friends like, "Oh my God, BTS have SKT on their game show." And like even people that don't know BTS but know SKT, and they were like, "What? Really?"
Uh
It
huh.
was cool.
Oh.
Yeah. So that made me very happy. So BTS have been promoting in India, which is amazing. They had their first Indian TV appearance, and we had that whole Rolling Stone article in Rolling Stone India when they talked about BTS, which was the most incredible
I think
article
that's the best article I've read so
ever,
far. Yeah.
ever read.
Because
It was
it was written, first
perfect.
off, it was written by a real army, somebody
Yes.
who has followed them for so long, and somebody who also, I will commend that writer for taking the time to think of all those questions, because you
Yes.
and I also love BTS with all heart and soul, but if you put me in front of BTS, I'm gonna be like, I love you. Like, I have no questions for you. So it takes a lot of time to come up with those kinds of very insightful questions, and I've never seen anyone ever ask those kinds of questions before.
Same. Never. And we had this conversation, and I was saying to you that, like, reading that article again was like being told that I'm swimming in water. Like, why have I never read articles like this? BTS is a journalist's dream. The amount of
Yeah.
like connections they have with their work and their music, and the amount of people that there are in different solo projects, and the amount of cool questions you could ask. Like, that article reminded me of how interviews with them could be. And I was just like appalled and shocked that we've never had an article like that before. It was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. I came away with it with a deeper appreciation of them, a
Hmm.
deeper understanding of aspects of
Yeah,
them I didn't know that I didn't know.
exactly.
And
Like, they asked Namjoon if he would consider writing a book, and he said yes. I did not know I needed this information in my
I
life, but now
I
that I
would
have
never
it,
have thought to ask that. And I'm like, holy fuck, I want his book. Like, how
yeah.
can I help him write it? Like, oh my
Oh my God,
God.
yeah.
Oh my fucking God. Because you know that he would write it in Korean and then it would need to be translated into literally every single fucking language on this planet.
Yeah. And the
Because that's
fact
how
that
many armies
they
there are.
asked each of them individual questions about their individual music. Why does no one ever do this? Oh my God. Wait, a quick trip to Shade Room.
All right. Yes, please.
So, in my very, very brief wanderings on Twitter over the last 5 or so weeks, I saw a bunch of people getting shitty about the fact that Jimin was asked about Friends and not about Filter when he was asked about his solo work. And I'm just like, Jimin didn't write or compose Filter. He wrote and composed Friends. And when he did a behind, when he talked about his input in the album, the song he talked about was Friends. The one he's proud of is Friends. The ones that when the other members compliment, he gets all happy and excited about is Friends, because Friends is the product that he created, that he had his input into, not Filter. He sang on Filter. It's an incredible solo song.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that has his heart and soul into it, that he put all of his work into, is
Mm-hmm.
Friends. That's why he was asked about Friends. So, like, shut the fuck up.
Again, the people who always complain about stuff like this are people who aren't actually fans. Like, they think they are. They
No, they're
think,
just solos.
yeah, no, but it's like, it's not even that. It's people who think that they're army, but they're not. They're not, they're like very vague fans who are in love with the idea of BTS versus who they actually are, which is so short-sighted because you have the ability to love them for who they actually are. They provide you all this content and access to them, and yet you choose to instead prop up this idea of who they are and how you think they should be treated, ignoring the fact that they are their own people with their own identity who are in charge of their own life. So,
Yep.
and I was just like, really? You think that this author, who nailed everything in this article except
Yep.
this one thing that she asked Jimin about the wrong song, you think she would make that kind of rookie mistake, considering how she already demonstrated in her beautiful introduction to the interview how much she knows about them? She's like a
Yes.
2015 fucking army. She has her shit together. Sit the fuck down, you idiots.
Exactly. Okay, let's move back.
Oh, I felt good to say.
So annoying.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I loved about this was the amount that she made it a personal interview. She talked about the songs that inspired her, what she had learned from being an army, what they had inspired from her. But she also related it back to the fandom as a whole. And she spoke about how there are certain little things that armies do that, like I love that she shared some anecdotes of like what is in the fandom, what we talk about in the fandom, and like
Wait,
I
I'm
love that.
forgetting now. What did she add?
She talked about Namjooning, that we had the phrase Namjooning, and that was another one. And I remember reading it and being so happy about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait, but also when Namjoon was like, "Man, like I didn't know people do that," or like he expressed some kind of like surprise, and I'm like, "Honey, you were the one who turned it into a verb on Weverse. You did this yourself. What are you pretending you don't know about this?
It's so funny to me though, because like they'll do these things like this. Like Namjoon will be like, at least the world has Namjoon to like take the mick out of himself, or he'll like do these things and everyone's like, yeah, you're right. The world does have Namjoon. That's great. Thanks for that awesome advice. We're now going to turn that into a motivating life statement. And it's the same with Namjooning. It's like, hey, that's a good idea. I'm going to improve my well-being in my life and I'm going to name it after you because I love you. It's just, yeah. Awesome.
Yep. It was
like BTS can't ever say something negative about themselves without us spinning it into something positive. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's we do it out of love. We literally just can't allow them to be seen.
I'm trying to find the other thing that she asked about. Also, can we just talk about how incredible the introduction of that article was? Even just reading her introduction about who they were,
made me tear up.
They taught people. It was amazing.
You could feel her love for them in her intro. And that intro alone made me go, all right, I'm about to read something really special.
Yes, exactly.
I really commend that writer for creating something so beautiful, so insightful, so special. And none of us were expecting it, right? Like we also were just like, oh, this article's coming out. Cool. Okay, yay. And
because everybody's left us thinking that articles are going to be a bunch of shit.
Yeah, and I think you were right when you said before that, like, we've gotten used to such a low standard that we don't know what we could expect. Like, we don't, no one's ever written a great article like this before where we as fans learned something that we hadn't already learned through what BTS give us, right? Because usually we know so much about BTS through their content, their behind the scenes stuff, their lives, all of that when they're interviewed, ARMY is never really the audience because the audience becomes the general public because of like the vague surface level questions and answers that are given in those articles.
Yes.
So
we just kind of skimmed through them and we're like, yeah, we knew that. Yeah, we knew that. That's a bit rude. Okay, this is like just everything we've had before. But this was literally like, in the year 2015 on April 7th, you said this exact statement. How has that thing evolved in your music from that until now?
I wonder,
and it was amazing.
I wonder if they got caught by surprise.
I think they would.
They were like, okay. And that's why when in the beginning she wrote like, they answered more questions than I thought they would have. I was like, that means they appreciated you.
Yes. And I think it also, like, this is what frustrates me because this is the thing about BTS. They are very open. They are very honest. They are very vulnerable. They are not the type of artists that are going to be like, no, you can't ask us that question. No, we don't want to answer that question. They will answer your question.
The only question that they will stop themselves from answering, no, is when Yoongi starts going, fuck school. Who needs to go to school? And Namjoon will be like, shut up!
Well, yeah, that and the military. That's like an off limits.
Yeah.
Oh, and also about their relationships because that's none of your fucking business. But anyway, apart from that, if it's anything to do with their careers, about their musical feelings, about their, like, they are an open book. They will answer your questions, and not many artists will do that.
True. But I will also say they do that when they feel safe. Yeah. So they clearly felt safe with her. I think she established pretty quickly that she was a real ARMY and she was here to ask them real questions.
Yeah, but I think this is what frustrated me in the fact that they are every journalist's dream to write about, because journalists could come up with very interesting, intriguing, fascinating questions that they would not be able to ask other artists about, and BTS would give them a very creative and interesting answer, but nobody does. And it, like, reading this and hearing all of these questions and these really interesting, thought-provoking things and their answers and their responses to it made me very angry, actually, that we've never got this before, but also very grateful.
Yeah.
But I found the other thing that they
said.
Hold
on, I just wanted to add really quick that the other thing I think is very special, oh crap, what was I going to say? This was important! Is that...
they were safe.
No, it's about the way they get asked questions. Go ahead with your quote. If I think of it, I'll come back to it.
Wait, I need to get you to remember it now. I was talking about how they are every journalist's dream because
yes, thank you. The other reason they're every journalist's dream is that journalists dream of reaching so many people with the things they write about, with their own ideas and interpretations.
Who actually care.
Yeah, about what is being written. And what better audience than ARMY? We're all over the fucking world. There's millions of us. Tens of millions of us, and we will read, we will share, we understand how how articles work. So we will tell people to click on good articles, and we will buy physical copies, which is why, for example,
Yes.
the WSJ Magazine fucked up by not having a higher supply of BTS covers for their magazines, and how Army was like, what the fuck, now the price has gone up because you've had to like add it and extend your contract with your printer.
Like, what did you expect? Come on, you should have done more research.
Well, I think they thought that we wouldn't be interested in BTS from like a business perspective as innovators. And I'm like, that is a misconception of this fandom, which makes me go, did you really award them correctly then?
Yeah. And this is what I mean by I don't think they fully understood, and I think they were still quite ignorant, even if they were respectful about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But okay, so she asked this question. I'm pretty certain that it's a she.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I'll change the pronoun for now. So they said, there's a saying about BTS in the fandom, you come into our lives when we need you the most. It's certainly true for me when I found your music. What is your take on this collective opinion and the fact that you've saved many lives with the music and content you contribute to the world? So she told them about the
that made me tear up
in English. I know, like she informed them that, and this is something that we have like on the English side of the fandom. This is something that is a very known statement amongst armies in the Western world or just in countries that speak English. And I was so grateful that she informed them that this is literally a common saying in the fandom. This is something which circulates and which everyone relates to and which has become an actual staple in the English side of the fandom. That makes me so happy. And yeah, like...
And how did they respond to that again?
So it was Yoongi, of course. He said, hearing our fans saying that we changed their lives changes our lives in turn. We got to know about the weight that our words and music carry, and we're truly thankful for that. We've realized that despite our love for music, the most important thing about this job is to have people who listen to you. We thank our fans for listening to our messages and music. And this brings me right back around to the fact that BTS saves us and we experience it from this perspective, but by doing that, they experience it from their perspective. We changed their minds. They loved music so much, and that's why they wanted to do this, but we taught them that there's something even more important than that. There's something to strive towards that's even more important than that, and that's in connecting with one another and in reaching that thing that is beyond what most people get to experience. Ugh. Yes.
It's that connection. It just goes back to the fact that the bond between BTS and ARMY, the bond between ARMY and ARMY, is something that you can't find anywhere else in the world.
I burst into tears when Namjoon was saying, like, they're the people that brought me down from the cliff, down to that 98, to that 97, like, that one thing that you can always grasp onto. And I think that's what I would refer to, what I would refer BTS as. I would describe them as the last thing you can clutch onto. It's like Pandora's box. What is left when everything else escapes? BTS. Like, that's how I would describe it. It's that one thing that will always be able to save you. And like, that's what, and the thing is, this is not just a thought that has come out of nowhere that Namjoon is saying, because go back to Magic Shop. It was you were there when I was at the end of my cliff. Like, you saved me, and now I want you to do the same for you. I just fucking can't.
Okay, on that soft note, why don't we take a break?
Wait, we have one more thing to talk about.
What is it?
So we weren't going to talk about this until this morning, but we had the Pdogg special episode of Immortal Songs.
Okay, we're not going to end on a soft note. We're going to end on a fucking amazing note.
Badass note!
Yeah!
Oh my god, this gave me so much joy.
What is this show? Joy. Where did this come from?
Well, I think it's a very popular show in Korea where they, like, celebrate producers, I think, or songwriters of some kind. But, like, first of all, go Pdogg. I fucking love Pdogg. I am such a fan of his. I think he is a genius mastermind of merging different creative genres and compositions, and he is amazing, and I love him. I think he's awesome. And he seems like such a cool guy as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so glad that he was recognized in this way. And second of all, that's how you cover a BTS song. And now I know why I always hate covers of BTS songs.
Because they're trying to imitate.
Yes, they're trying to do the same thing, and they're never going to be as good. You're never going to be as good as BTS by performing a BTS song. But what you can do is create something different that is amazing in
Yeah.
its own right.
Yeah, reinterpret it through your own lens. Take the concept, right? Because we talk about how BTS music is so relatable and resonates with all of us because we've experienced something like that too. Well, then take that thing that's common, the melody, the lyrics, and interpret it through your own identity and your own
Yes.
self, and make it about you. And now that is an
Be
accurate
innovative.
yeah, be innovative, and that's an accurate application of what that music is supposed to be, if it's supposed to be dealing with themes
Exactly.
that are and ideas that are universal.
And this, I think, is one of the main reasons why other idol groups can't catch up to BTS, because they are taking something and they are performing it as they are shown, right? Whereas artists like BTS are creating something. And this is the thing about these covers, is that these artists took these songs, took these themes, took these ideas, and completely switched them up into how they interpret it, the way that they want to express themselves, the way that they want to stage it. It was amazing. I was grinning like a fool, like stomping my feet while I was watching it, like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like
Yeah,
when
it was.
like I just want to quickly talk about them each in turn because I thought each one of them was phenomenal.
So how many
The
were there in total? Six? Five?
six.
Six? Okay.
The first one was Fire. And oh my God, when they changed the like sassy like spoken sexy word into this like creepy whispery, like pulled everything back and had all of this like whisper noise before they did it, and they were like zombies. It
Yeah,
was so
it
cool.
was. And they I like that they turned the raps into like this like half singing stuff.
Yes.
Because you can't top the BTS rappers. Like, you have to reinterpret it in your
Yes.
own way. And I also like there was like a dance move near the end of it where like the main singer fell and slid across the stage on his face. Did you see that?
No, I'll have to
Oh,
rewatch
he
it.
did it on purpose, and everybody was like, "Oh my God." Like, that was a really crazy dance move.
Mhm.
I loved it. I loved it so much.
But it was like, it was so crazy. It was so cool because they completely like reinterpreted it. It was like a zombie dance move and it was creepy and it was like,
It was like, yeah, I got like hints of Thriller.
yes. But like when they did that whisper of like it's burning up, I like was like, yes, every time. Like it drove me crazy because it was so creative. Okay,
Mhm.
and next was my favorite of the whole of them, which was, I don't know if I'm doing this in order, by the
I
way,
don't care. Pick.
but it was Blood, Sweat, and Tears. What the
Oh, you
fuck?
like that one? I love the Western vibe to it.
Yeah, it was like country, folky, rocky, alternative. And both of the singers had incredible voices. But the fact that, like, by the end of the song, they were like giving you, like, kind of notes to Blood, Sweat, and Tears
Yeah.
was amazing. It
Yeah.
was, and he was playing the
Yes,
harmonica.
yes, that
It
was
was
great.
so cool.
Yeah, and the thing is I like is like when they do it that way, you kind of see the song from the perspective of like a Western cowboy. Like, I gave you my blood, sweat, and tears, and like
Mhm.
like it's like I'm a cowboy. Like, I'm there's no law in my life. I gave you everything, and I'm addicted to you, and I'm gonna fall apart because I love you so much. Like, that's so cool.
And I loved the way that they switched up the melodies in this, and like the bit that it was like money, 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 that bit, like they did it with O's. So they were like saying like "Napitam nama," but then they were going like just doing that melody with O's, and then at the end, like they had the electric guitar going and they were like meow, and I was like, what the fuck? This is so cool.
It's so special because they've reinterpreted it. It's not a cheap
Yeah,
copy. It's
exactly.
revamped into
And
something else.
it was like one of a song that's so special to me, and I honestly, I kept tearing up and like grinning like a fool every time they cut to Pdogg, because it means so much to me to see these songs interpreted and see people be inspired and create it into something else and into their own personal musical expression. But he was like, the fact that Pdogg got to see all of these incredible artists reimagine his songs and like take inspiration from them right in front of his eyes, and he looked so like, he looked like a kid at Christmas, like, wow, look what they've done
And
to
it's
my
that same
song.
idea of BTS seeing fan covers of their songs. Like,
Yes.
you see your own piece of art through someone else's eyes, and you're like, this is
Mhm.
so cool, and it inspires you.
Yes. It made me so happy to see
Yeah.
all of these people. And this is what I mean. Like, it really frustrates me when I see covers of BTS songs when it's just like them trying to do the exact same thing, the exact same melody, the exact same choreo, the same expressions. They're trying to emulate it. It's like,
Why
don't
would
disrespect BTS like that,
but
man. Like,
also why would I want you when I have the original?
well, yeah, but like, I just feel like there's no, this might be a bit rude, but whatever. I feel like there's no greater way to disrespect an artist than to copy their work, than to imitate their work. It's incredible when you see somebody take your work, reimagine it, reinterpret it, be inspired by it, and put their own identity into it. That's incredible.
Because it
When you
takes so
see
much
someone
more
do a
work.
carbon copy of your art,
It's lazy.
it's lazy. It's not respecting what the point of your art was, because why would I want my art to just be something that someone goes, I don't really care about this, I'm just going to do it myself. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's why this made me so happy. And I was like, do you know what? Put some respect on BTS's name. Thank you. Thank you for actually doing this. This is amazing. And I was
Mm-hmm.
so happy about it.
Mm-hmm. What was the song came after? That was a DNA?
DNA, that woman is fucking
Oh
incredible.
my god, I loved DNA. It was so much fun.
It was like a rockin' vibe. It was like this
Yeah.
girl power, crazy,
And
like
what I
soulful.
really like, like that song is about how like we're meant to be together,
Mhm.
like give into it, it's fine, like it's destiny. And then at the end of it, the la 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 was like a choir, like a chorus singing it.
Mhm.
I'm like that's so like I like that idea of like it involves all of us. Like all of us
Yeah.
are like this. Like the la 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 is the acceptance of like yeah, we need to be with you.
And it was very like female empowering, which I
Yes.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed. And the thing that I kind of got from it was like they changed it from like a we're meant to be together, like you and I, like this is destiny and like let's be together. And they changed it into like a we're gonna be together.
Yeah.
We're meant to be. Nothing can change us. Nothing can stop this shit.
Yes.
We're gonna come out and we're gonna destroy this.
Yes.
And like even the backing, the lighting, it felt uneasy and weird to me because DNA is this really like comforting, positive, bright, like feel good song. And it was changed into this like badass, aggressive, like it it was like a boxing ring with these
Uh-huh.
crazy, powerful, awesome women with their amazing talent. And it was just awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then what came after that? It was Fake
Then we
Love.
had Fake Love, which was
That was my
sultry.
favorite reinterpretation because
Mhm.
I love that she made the chorus like she changed the keys and made it more minor,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I love that idea of it's like some woman in a relationship and she's like I'm so fake like you love the idea of me and I'm falling apart inside and I can't do this anymore like
Mhm.
I thought we could be together. I dreamed a dream of a flower that whatever the lyrics are, I'm bad at this, but like I just loved it and it was this like very like sad like acceptance like this is fucking shit, isn't it?
Mhm.
I
I
loved
felt
it.
like in my interpretation of it was like it was temptation. It was like this sultry, almost, I know that this is wrong and this isn't okay. And look how dangerous and horrible this is. But it's so hard to escape. Like, it's so hard to be rid of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's so tempting. Like, it just felt the way that she like elongated and extended the end of her words like sighs, and the ways that it was all stripped back. And I don't know, it just felt very like longing but sad.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. I just loved that it was again a whole different interpretation of the song.
And to me it actually was a lot more similar to Namjoon's original like
Yeah.
version because he wanted it to be a lot sadder, a lot more peculiar.
Yeah, odd. It was odd.
Odd.
That's what I liked about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, I just loved it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then what
And the fact that it reached this huge, powerful ending. Oh, she was amazing. All of them.
yeah, and then what was the last one?
Spring Day.
That was a very interesting interpretation. It seemed more
I
traditionally
was,
Korean, like, right?
yeah, I was honestly blown away by this because it was so very unusual to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could tell that it was very traditionally Korean in the trot genre, in the like folk
And in the way
genre.
she was singing it.
Yeah. Like I've heard that before, but I've kind of heard it in upbeat songs. I've never heard a ballad sung like that. And it was so
Mournful.
hypnotizing. It
Yeah.
was like she was a siren, and I was watching like, what is going on? This is incredible. And then like
Yeah.
I started tearing up and being like it was so strange the way that she didn't go up with her notes, and the ways that she didn't really sing at the end and like any words. It was so
It took a song.
powerful.
It took a song that had and made it more put a more of a cultural stamp on it, a South Korean cultural stamp on it. That to me was very unique because I'm from the West, so I don't know
Yeah.
much about that. But it's such a song that resonates with so many in South Korea, right? Like it's
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking. Like when you looked at the people in the audience and what they were feeling, like what I could interpret from their faces was like they made something very comforting for them. It was something that
it so
was very familiar.
have you ever seen there's like some stuff online that you can watch about like the origin of the song Arirang, like the song
Oh, yeah.
and how it's supposed to be this like traditionally like South Korean song where it's like a mournful woman crying for her husband that's leaving, and it's very like it's kind of sounds like that. And I wonder if they took that style and that's what they were applying to Spring Day to kind of mean that this is a song that resonates with so many people in Korea because it's so similar to our cultural music.
And I think, like, obviously during this time, having someone singing like that, it was just hypnotizing to me. I couldn't look away. I felt very inspired by it. I felt very emotionally moved by it, and I couldn't understand why, which is why I really enjoyed that performance because it really took me outside of my comfort zone to from what I was used to and made it into something else. And I felt her emotional presence with this. And I've never heard that style of singing in a ballad, like I say, in that kind of emotional way. I just thought it was extremely fascinating.
So that was a fun add-on that we got to enjoy today and then throw out onto Army Recap.
Yes, I absolutely loved it. I literally sent you a message this morning like, oh my fucking God, you have to watch these covers of these BTS songs because I need someone to talk to. Yep.
Okay, so is that finally everything that we meant to talk about?
Yes, how long? Oh, we don't even know how long, but we
3
already
hours,
lost an
3
hour of
years.
footage, and I bet you we still have a long episode.
Yeah, it's probably super long. All right, everyone, let's go take a break, and then when we come back, we'll play a short game, and then Billie will make us cry with her rereading of something very soft and sweet, and then we'll have a great week. Yeah?
And we'll get excited for the new album.
Yes. Yeah. All right, be right back, guys.
이 모든 건 우연이 아냐 그냥 나의 느낌으로 온 세상이 어제와는 달라 그냥 너의 기쁨으로 네가 날 불렀을 때 나는 너의 꽃으로 기다렸던 것처럼 우리 시리도록 펴 어쩌면 우주의 섭리 그냥 그랬던 거야 You know I know 너는 나는 너 설레는 만큼 많이 두려워 운명이 우릴 자꾸 질투했어 너만큼 나도 많이 무서워 When you see me, when you touch me 우주가 우릴 위해 움직였어 조금의 어긋남조차 없었어 너와 내 행복은 예정됐던 걸 Cause you love me and I love you 넌 내 푸른 곰팡이 날 구원해준 나의 천사 나의 세상 난 네 삼색 고양이 널 만나러 Love me now Touch me now Just let me love you Just let me love you 우주가 처음 생겨났을 때부터 모든 건 정해진 거였어 Just let me love you 넌 내 푸른 곰팡이 날 구원해준 나의 천사 나의 세상 난 네 상색 고향이 널 만나러 온 Love me now Touch me now Just let me love you Just let me love you 우주가 처음 생겨났을 때부터 모든 건 정해진 거였어 Just let me love you 인생 곁에 와줘 우리가 되어줘 I don't wanna let go No 그냥 맡기면 되는 거야 말 안 해도 느껴지잖아 별들은 떠있고 우린 날고 있어 절대 꿈은 아냐 떨지 말고 내 손을 잡아 이제 우리가 되는 거야 Let me love you Just let me love you Just let me love you 우주가 처음 생겨났을 때부터 모든 건 정해진 거였어 Just let me love you Let me love you
Hi guys, welcome back. Hope you had a nice break. So, we are now going to do Army Fun Time, although it's going to be kind of like Army Fun / soft time.
Emotional time.
Emotional time. Because
Army
initially
love
we were
time.
going to... Yeah. Initially we were going to play a normal, crazy, ridiculous game where each of us...
Well, did you just save that for a future?
Let's save it.
Yeah.
I was going to give you a preview of next week.
No
but okay.
preview. No spoilers.
So, instead, I was planning the episode and I was like, hey, I'm a genius. I have a great idea of what we can do for this episode. And I thought that we could answer the questions that BTS asked us on the postcard from the promo for these albums and kind of discuss them.
How's your day?
Oh, yeah. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the order. So this was the same order that the rooms were released.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so it was V. I don't know why I just called him V. It was Tae, Jimin, Namjoon, Jungkook, Jin, Yoongi, Hobi.
By the way, what an interesting order.
I know.
I like that they've done that because we're all so used to doing them in the order of their fan chant that this is like a nice break for us from the norm as well.
It is, but it makes me wonder why. Like, why did they do that? I haven't actually read these properly yet, so yeah.
Yeah, you missed us because like what they did was they put these on Weverse and then they were like respond with the hashtag on Twitter. And so we immediately drowned out Twitter with all of our responses.
Okay, yeah, I haven't even properly read these, so my answers will be very on the fly.
Good. Okay, so the first one is from Tae. Do you want to read it?
There were moments while working on my music when I felt stuck. I went to see ARMY every time that happened. Dear ARMY, when do you feel the happiest? What are some moments that make you go, I'm so happy right now, other than our songs? Okay, I have two.
Go for it.
That I can think of immediately. And my examples are when I feel so happy that my eyes well up and I feel very emotional. One of them is during a concert when I'm surrounded by people and I'm watching a performance and I'm seeing their embodiment of music and I have this out of body experience like, wait, you can move your hands like that and open your mouth like that and create music. What the fuck is this? I'm alive. Like, what is happening? And then I start crying and then I feel like, so yeah, that is one.
That's very meta, Billie.
The other time that I feel like that is when I'm in nature, when I'm in the middle of nowhere and there's not many people around and I feel the breeze or I look at the sky or I hear the silence or the chirping of birds or something and I have that moment when I just feel so alive and it's just so nice, and I feel so happy.
Billie,
and just
you
at
just
peace.
you just took both of my responses, so fuck
Oh,
you.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, well, one
Sorry.
of them is I love to go Namjooning. I love nature walks. I adore them. And my favorite part is when I'm so alone in nature and it's just me and nature, and I feel so aware of myself and so happy as my place amidst all of this this
Yes.
forest, this
Like when you look at the sky and you feel so small, but in such a nice way.
You feel like, yeah, and that's the other thing I was going to say. Moments where I feel like I belong and I'm where I'm supposed to be. One of which is a BTS concert. Like, there's nowhere else I'm supposed to be in that moment other than where I am. And as someone who's always on the go, I'm always have an endless list of things that I need to do and get done and make sure that I'm on track. A moment where I'm just at peace and not doing anything because I only need to be
present.
here makes me happy. So thank you for taking both of my answers.
Sorry, but we are very similar. We know this.
One brain cell.
But yeah, have you ever been in nature to a place where you are so far away from civilization and anything and anyone that the silence feels suffocating? That it's silence like I've never been able to describe. And I studied in philosophy the theory of silence, and silence is actually a thing that's a very interesting theory and interesting concept, and that we're not used to silence anymore because everywhere we go there is noise. And so that it kind of relates to our psychology of working our brains up just because we don't get enough silence, and the silence that we do experience isn't real silence. And there's a lot of philosophical questions about this, what it means to be around silence. And I didn't truly understand it until I had this experience when I was climbing in the Peak District, which is in the UK. It's like a bunch of mountains and things, and it was snowy. It was the middle of winter, and I was on a walk, and I just stopped for a second and just listened to the silence. There was nobody around, and it was really high up, and it was snowing, and it was like I'd never heard silence before. It was like this. It was like the silence was a presence. It was so weird, so difficult to explain. And I got really emotional because I was like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to be alive in the world. And
yeah, I mean, if you said it was snowy, I think that also happens when it snows because snow deadens sound. It absorbs sound and doesn't bounce it back. And I've felt similarly kind of when it snows. There have been times when I used to live in places that were more city-like, but so I was used to all the noise, and then there were times when it snowed and I'd be out for a walk by myself, and it's just everything's quiet. Everything's
so nice.
The world is still for that moment.
And in such a busy world when you're constantly expected to be moving and how fast-paced our society is these days, those moments of pause is when I feel happiest. When I'm at a concert and I pause and I realize what's happening, or if I'm in nature, or that's just the best. So in the chat right now, when do you feel most happy?
Yeah, I want to see everyone's responses and compare them to ours.
So next we have Jiminy.
So he says, I miss someone who loves me just the way I am so much. Dear Army, what makes you the happiest in your everyday lives and when you're by our side? This goes back to what we've been talking about this entire episode. No one will ever experience ARMY the way BTS does. And they are the only ones who get to enjoy our love, joy, passion, compassion, belief, support. Everything under the sun is directed at them.
Yeah.
And in some lucky way, the more they show us, the more flaws they show us, the more vulnerable they are, the more they take away any sense of perfection or magic or legend status that makes them larger than life, the more we love them, not less.
Yeah.
So of course he misses it. We missed that.
Of course. But okay, so let's talk about the happiest in your everyday life.
My everyday life? When I get to talk to you.
Oh, that's so cute. I'm just gonna go cry now. I don't know what to say. I feel like I'm gonna blush. I love talking to you too. To be fair though, our conversations and our date nights, or when we play games or when we watch shows, it's just so much fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also mean that in the sense that I'm tearing up, but it's not because I'm emotional. It's because I have something in my eye. Just
okay,
just
sure.
That out.
We believe you, Yami.
Is that I love BTS.
Just say that you love me and go.
I do love you, Billie. Wait, hold on. What's your new name? Yilly?
We didn't discuss that, so that will come out of left field.
So to loop anyone in, we flipped our names, and so I am now Bami, and she's Yilly. And
yeah,
together
of our hair.
Yeah, and together our ship name is Yale.
Yali.
Yale.
Yale.
It's fucking stupid, I know.
It's so stupid. We laughed about it for like 5 minutes just for no reason.
Yeah. So what was I talking about? Oh, like being part of this community, being part of ARMY, having fun on social media, on Twitter, surrounded by other ARMYs, all talking about BTS. Like, I'm sorry, it makes me fucking happy. So when I have a deep friend like you, we're not deep friendship, close friend. You're not a deep friend. You're not in a hole somewhere. But anyway, like the fact that I can continuously talk about this with you nonstop, and it's never weird, it's never over the top, and it's never obsessive because we're equally passionate about this makes me happy.
I know, and we can just talk for like hours on end about this stuff. It's great. Well, you make me happy in my everyday life too, so I will agree with you on that.
Yeah. Okay, everyone else, now that we're done with our love fest, being sappy, what makes you happiest?
In your everyday life. Think of something very, very simple as well, because I've found that it's very important every day to tell yourself the things that you were grateful for that day, even if it's the silliest things in the world. Like
affirmations?
Things that, yeah, like I used to write down 3 things at the end of the day that I was grateful for, that made me happy that day, because I found myself feeling very miserable, very sad all the time, and kind of you miss things that matter. And like the things that I would write down would be things like the feel of like new bedding on when I got into bed, like how nice it felt against my skin, or how good my dinner was that day, or like just something really stupid that I feel grateful for. And every day I feel grateful when I achieve something, no matter how big or small. It could be getting out of bed. That makes me grateful. That makes me happy when I achieve something.
I'm happy when I drink tea. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I have a steady drip of caffeine in my tea. This is not even caffeinated now, but I love warm tea.
Yes.
Hot tea.
It just feels so comforting, doesn't it?
The sound of the teapot, like the electric teapot, boiling water, the click when it's done, pouring it, waiting for it to steep. Like, this is just something I've done for years and years and years and years, and it's my comfort. It's my comfort place.
Yes. I love that you described that in such a present way as well, because I think that's so important, that like to listen to the sound of the kettle boiling and the like, just to associate all of that things, because we don't think about them if we don't actually pay attention to them.
I turn on the tea kettle sometimes and then I don't even make tea. I just like the noise, which makes everybody around me go, what the fuck is your problem? And I'm like, shh. I just like it going, shh.
So what makes you happiest when you're by BTS's side?
The fact that I feel so connected. The fact that I feel like I understand their emotions because they've made me feel them. The fact that I've been with them for so long, that their journey resonates with me on such a deep level. And of course, I'm not their best friend. I don't know them on a day-to-day basis, but I know the things that matter. And they've repeatedly said how much they appreciate it. And I feel like it comes back to the thing where Namjoon said, I wish there was a stronger word than love. I love you more than love, because that's the kind of bond we have, ARMY and BTS.
Yes, agreed.
It transcends words. It like I always, by the way, side note, I always watch like clips of BTS being on some show or being interviewed where they say they miss ARMY, and I always can tell that whoever's interviewing them, like, it comes across as cheesy or like self-serving, when from my perspective I'm like, I know they mean it. Like, I rewatched the Tiny Desk concert recently, and they repeatedly, like, even half laughing, are like, haha, I miss you. And it's because in that moment, they're singing, and they wish there was an audience. They want to feel that connection of them and ARMY and the audience, that cycle, that loop that they feed off, and makes them feel so incredibly loved, and makes ARMY feel so incredibly loved. And they don't have that. They're like, haha, I'm performing, but I miss you.
I know. And like when Tay was like, can you hear me? Because it was like, are you there?
Yeah.
You're there, right?
Yeah.
That was so sweet. Okay, so what makes me happiest by BTS's side? I think it's that feeling you get with BTS that is a step beyond what society teaches you to feel. Like, it's that extra mile. That's what makes me feel happiest. Like, you think that you can only feel up to this much in your passion, in your self-acceptance, in your connection, in your creativity, and then BTS extends it that extra mile. And it's that extra mile that makes all the difference, and that makes me view the world and my place within it in such a different way, in such a more positive way. And I think that, and also when we win together, Like when we achieve something together and we feel happiest together, and that doesn't have to be results, that can be the fact that we get through the love yourself era and we all tried a bit harder than we did before to love ourselves. That makes me very happy.
Okay, moving on. What's the next prompt?
Namjoon. The happiest moment for me is not something grandiose, but the moments when I open my eyes in the morning to the beautiful sky, when I smell the winter, and when I'm on my bike and the breeze feels nice. Dear Army, when do you feel happy in your everyday lives? So you're all asking us the same questions, but okay, let's take this prompt.
How's your day?
Let's take this prompt how he's described it. So he's described very mindful expressions, like you talking about like the sound of the tea kettle, like these kind of small mindful things. So what is something that is not grandiose, that is very simple, that makes you happy?
Well, I already told you about my feelings and my love for the tea kettle. Trying to think of something else. That moment when I finally realize I'm awake, because I'm not a morning person. I wish I was, because it would make my life so much easier. But there's a lot of days when I wake up and I'm still not mentally awake, and I'm regretting the fact that I opened my eyes and have to get up and go to work and do all of that. And so that moment when I feel like, oh, okay, I'm finally done missing the bed, I'm awake and I can go about my day, I really appreciate those moments, because I'm like, okay, good, I've got my energy now, I can do something.
Okay, I think the morning coffee is just the best. I think when I open my phone and I check Twitter to see if anything's happened, like just every morning I'll have a quick 5-minute, has BTS posted anything, has Army said anything interesting, like have a quick look. When you change into pajamas, when you've been out all day and you get home and you change into pajamas, because that's the first thing I do.
I have a question. Oh my God, I have a question. Do you change into pajamas when it's time for bed, or literally when you get home from work?
As soon as I get home from anything. I just think that it's sacrilegious to wear normal clothing inside the house. You should be in joggers or you should be in pajamas, and that's just the way it is. You shouldn't be dressed in the house. That's just ridiculousness.
No.
That's ridiculousness. The thing that's really, really funny is, especially since this pandemic, all I use is just pajamas. The only times I ever get dressed is if I'm going to the supermarket or if I'm filming Army Time, and that's about it. And we discussed this actually in the recording that got lost, but both of us are currently wearing jogging bottoms underneath this camera.
Yep.
Like, comfort prioritized.
Yep. All right, next one. It's from Jungkook, and he says, I realized once again during a concert that singing and dancing in front of Army is the reason I exist. Dear Army, what would BTS be remembered as in your life?
This is a very Jungkook question to ask. This reminds me of him wanting to know what Army's thought of them, like, in the future.
Yeah, that's what everybody was talking about on my timeline when this one came out. And I was like, first off, again, I'm just gonna recommend you this channel, Jungkook. Like, you want to know what we remembered you as? Please come look at our content.
Oh my God.
This is where I started to get, like, personal on Twitter. Because the thing is like, for me, BTS taught me how to feel more and how to come back to a lot of emotions in my life, and that I had kind of numbed myself to because of just, life. You don't want to participate because it hurts too much. And they taught me the beauty of caring so much, that you can love so much, that you can hurt so much, you can be so happy, you can be so sad, you can feel everything at once, and it makes your life so much more vibrant by doing that.
Yeah.
That's how I will remember them, as the people who showed me the door and shoved me through it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would remember them as, like, what are those?
Catalyst.
What are they called?
Mother of Christ.
Defibrillator.
Defibrillator. Defibrillator.
Is that right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Nice. The defibrillator of my life. Like, the spark that, like, shocked me back into my senses, I would say. And let's get personal without get too personal. I found BTS when I had lost a very important person in my life, and I was very, very lonely and lost and grieving and feeling very, very like I just didn't want to feel anything at all, and feeling things and being this passionate and being this caring about things just led to so much sadness, so much pain, so much loss, and I didn't want any part of it, and I was very much just like content with living a very monotonous life. And then I found BTS, and they were like, no, you don't get to do that. Like, your love, your passion, the things that you care about, and the reason and the way that you care about these things, like so deeply is not something that you should shy away from, and is not something that you should be ashamed of or that you should think is out to get you. It's actually your source of strength. And I would remember them as the turning point in my life when I was about to give up. They didn't let me.
They opened the door and shoved it through and said, "Welcome to ARMY."
Exactly. And that's how I would remember you, Jungkook.
All right, next one. Ginny.
After working hard, I'm now taking a break, not really by our own choosing, but then now I feel like I'm in tip-top shape. Dear ARMY, don't forget to take a break even if you're busy. Question, what's your happiest moment? See, he always throws in these cute little words of encouragement. Like, he's like everyone's personal cheerleader.
It's not allowed. It should be illegal to be this cute. Like why are you so sweet? It's painful. I love him.
I know.
Well, we answered it. The other thing is I think you...
No. What's your happiest moment?
I just wanted to say, I think you missed it on the timeline. There were so many times where everybody was answering these questions and they were like, you, BTS, you are what make me happy, my happiest moment, the thing makes me happy every day. Like, I can't answer this question without you. And everybody was like, this is a cheap answer. We have nothing else to say.
So
okay.
What's the moment in your life that is the happiest? Like, as in time. You don't have to share if it's too personal.
No, it's just like, I don't know if I have one, but it's like, it must have been every BTS concert I've been to, somewhere near the end, where I'm so overwhelmed with emotion, and I feel so happy to be alive. And it's what we talked about before, that it's like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm surrounded by everybody who understands me. Like, this moment is the best it could possibly be. What about you?
Yeah. I think mine was when I graduated from university. Like, it was a painstaking process for me to get to university and to get through it. And I graduated with the highest, and I won an award for my year. And it was just after my granddad had passed away, and we were very, very close. And it was his 75th birthday. And we kind of like, we worked together to get me to university. And it was like our combined dream of me going. And it was just the happiest I've ever felt. Like, even though I was sad, I was so happy to have achieved that and to like be able to share that with him even if he wasn't there. Yeah,
that's so sweet. Yeah,
so yeah,
love it. Okay, what's our next question?
Yoongo's.
Everyone else, I hope you're playing along in the comments. Like,
yeah,
I know we haven't been saying it, but like our sob stories here are just supposed to be a way to pass the time. Please respond to the chat so that as we're in the chat with you, we can like celebrate your moments as well.
Yes, please do, because this is a lovely way for us all to understand each other a bit more.
Yeah. Otherwise, this feels very self-indulgent, and
I know. And
I don't want this. Please, dear God, please don't leave the spotlight on me.
Yeah, same. Because this is the thing about these types of questions and about being this emotionally vulnerable. You have to feel like you are sharing it with someone rather than just...
We're not performing. We're not here as demonstrators. I will literally fucking die if I am interpreted that way.
Same. Like,
please don't.
Please be writing yours as well, because otherwise I'll be sitting here like, oh my God, I just shared all of my deepest, darkest secrets and nobody's sharing with me.
I can't. Please don't.
Yeah.
All right, Yoongi. I'm into playing the guitar lately. All my worries go away when I'm playing the guitar. Dear ARMY, what does BTS mean to you? I'm fucking leaving. I can't do this anymore.
This is hard, but I think I'm just going to keep this one short. BTS was the family that I needed when I didn't have one, and they'll always be that to me. BTS is my family.
BTS mean joy and living to me. They mean living life vibrantly with every emotion, not holding anything back, and feeling everything to the utmost so that I can say I don't have any regrets.
I love it. This is getting way too soft. I'm so glad we're near the end.
Me too. I was about to say. Oh, okay.
Okay. Hobie. We could only come this far thanks to all of you. Thank you for always being by our side. And we miss you so much. Dear ARMY, what are the words that comfort you the most?
BTS is having a comeback.
The words you just wrote. Thank you for always being by our side. You're welcome. Okay.
Things that BTS...
Words from BTS that comfort me the most.
I love when they acknowledge what we do, things that we worry that don't reach them. And when they go, like, we know how hard you work, we know how much you've supported us, and like it touches us. Like, when they make comments to that effect, I feel seen.
I think when BTS acknowledge ARMY in the way that ARMY acknowledged them, it's so nice to be reminded that I'm not just some mindless person in a room going, oh my God, I love BTS so much, but to know that they care for me just as much. and to be reminded that with sincerity and to feel their heartfelt words of affection and of support, I think that is so comforting. It's so validating, and it really makes you feel seen, and it really makes you feel cared for.
I need a break. I've been emotional, and then we'll come back and be emotional one more time before we end.
So the break, I just wanted to say, is DNA, so that's an even better segue, because we were meant to meet BTS, and me and you, Yami, obs, but everybody knew that.
Yale! All right, we'll be right back, guys.
서로를 불러왔던 것처럼 내 혈관 속 뒤에 네가 말해줘 내가 찾아 헤매도 너라는 걸 우리 만남을 수학의 공식 종교의 유머 우주의 선미 내게 주어진 운명의 증거 너는 내 꿈의 주석 Take it 너에게 내민 내 손은 좀 해질 숙명 걱정하지 말라 이 모든 건 우연이 아니니까 우리 완전 달라 baby 운명을 찾아낸 둘이니까 우주가 생긴 그날부터 계속 무한의 세기를 넘어서 계속 우린 저 생에도 안 왔던 생에도 영원히 함께니까 모든 건 우연이 아니니까 운명을 찾아낸 둘이니까 I want it this love I want it real love 난 너에게만 집중해 좀 더 세게 날 이끄네 태초의 DNA가 널 원하는데 이건 필연이야 I love it 우리만이 true love it 그녀를 볼 때마다 서술과 책에 놀라 신기하게 자꾸만 숨이 멎는 참 일상은 설마 이런 게 말로만 듣던 사랑이란 감정일까 애초부터 내 심장은 널 향해 두니까 걱정하지 말라 이 모든 건 우연이 아니니까 우리 완전 달라 baby 운명을 찾아낸 둘이니까 우주가 생긴 그날부터 계속 무한의 세계를 넘어서 계속 우리 전 생에도 아마 딴 생에도 영원히 함께니까 이 모든 건 우연이 아니니까 운명을 찾아낸 둘이니까 돌아보실래 운명을 찾아낸 우리니까 후회하지 마라 baby 영원히 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 함께니까 걱정하지 말라 이 모든 건 우연이 아니니까 우리 완전 달라 baby 운명을 찾아낸 둘이니까 우연이 아니니까 우연이 아니니까
Okay, me and Yami have been discussing how much we regret being so vulnerable in the last segment, but vulnerability is a strength, so let's get it.
Yeah, this is like an exercise in our two weakest areas.
Yeah, like, this must be how BTS do it as well, because, like, you do it and you're like, I really don't want to do this, but, like, maybe I should. I don't know, like, this is weird.
Maybe this is what happens when they get really emotional in their closing mens, and then, like, afterwards they, like, go off stage and they're all, like, laughing and hugging each other, like, oh, you went there, and they're like, fuck you, I did.
Yeah, but again, I think this is what BTS teach you. Like, if BTS wasn't there, I would never have felt even the slightest inclination to share that much. And I also would have felt very, very, very embarrassed. Like, I do feel embarrassed and I feel a bit weird about it, but I'm like, no, I stick to my guns. This is me. Let's get it.
Anyway, we're a bunch of sappy bitches, but yeah.
And we're going to get even sappier because now it's time for Army Heart BTS.
Okay, and so Billie found a beautiful letter from Namjoon, which he wrote to ARMY on BTS's 7th anniversary, and he posted it on Weverse. And I think Billie should read this in her beautiful British accent, and we can just all enjoy it together.
Yeah, we decided that we wanted to change Army Heart BTS to just to explain further, like, the segment that we were doing, we felt like there wasn't really anything we could add. Like, when we talk about BTS and their extreme kindness or their moments that make us feel very soft,
we shouldn't have to explain why they're being kind.
It's very self-explanatory. It's just nice to have that note to end on, to hear their words, to appreciate them. And so we didn't want to cut this segment, but we wanted to do it differently.
Oh, hold on. I just realized I never switched this too.
Oh, yeah. Sweet. But yeah, we just wanted to share a nice thing. And yeah, I'll just read this out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we're no longer having fun. We're having Army Heart BTS time. In case that wasn't clear. I mean, I know some of you might have been confused.
We did say it was going to be an emotional episode. What are you going to do?
Anyway, Billie, take it away.
Okay. So this was 06/13/2020. The best day ever. I truly wonder what must time be? Like this, like that. On one hand, it may seem like it gently comes and goes. On the other, it even seems like I've been faced with a rock on some beach that seems to have changed in my brief absence. You could say time is short, and you could also consider it long, quite long. It has been 10 years since the summer of 2010, when I moved into the dorm in Nonhyung-dong and started my life in Seoul. I finally feel as though I've fully become a citizen of Seoul. In Bangtan's case, we truly believed we had witnessed every moment of our changing selves from the start, but carefully looking through our debut pictures that came up today, one by one, it was both fascinating and foreign to see pictures of myself that seemed nothing like the person I thought I knew. Something like the Gestalt principles. That basically means that the parts are better defined by the whole. The whole is more than the sum of its parts, as we say. Debuting as Rap Monster with the foil perm, a little rough around the edges, I always insisted that even though I hadn't truly changed much within myself, it only seemed that I had changed so much because of how strong my character was back then. But now, it even seems like a man from a completely different time is standing in those photos, smiling a sneaky smile. And even today, while practicing choreography, my friends and I found ourselves laughing for quite a while. The letter I'd written, full of spirit, and not long after our debut came to mind, having promised to make them proud, no matter what. The significance of a date. To me, an anniversary is a special marking of sorts, making an otherwise dull and ordinary day into a commemoration to remember. It's quite amazing to observe how one's mood can be uplifted at the sight of a string of numbers in a date. At last, I feel I'm able to breathe more easily. It's a relief that we've been able to come running until this point together, healthy and smiling. When I look around at my friends who have grown so much, I'm able to brace myself. I feel more at ease. The things I can't quite grasp, there are some things still beyond my explanation that continue to fill me with passion, just as they did 7 years ago. Those moments that I sometimes long for, yet don't seem to return. In a way, it seems I felt happiness in those moments, and I also feel happiness because I am in this moment now. Though I still feel a hint of embarrassment from seeing my rougher pictures of my past, I know that who I was yesterday is just a part of who I am. I've come to miss my graduation photo album that I ripped up some time ago, though I will probably regret it were I to really see it again. Today, when reading the many news of our world, a thought came to me. Compared to the world of 7 years ago, of 10 years ago, I wonder what must be different. I wonder what I've been doing all this time. The empty cries, the meaningless motions, and yet the endless passionate love from every corner of the earth that never let those actions remain as small as they were. Amid feelings of helplessness that continue to grasp at my heart, I ponder over what I can and cannot do. Like this, I'm living in this 7th year. I thank you all for allowing me to live and for encouraging me to never give up. I truly thank you. As we've cried out these last 7 years, I will continue to try my hardest, starting with Bang Bang Con, just one day away now. As always, as ever, I hope my love can be delivered to you all. I love you more than love itself, Army. Namjoon. That has got to be his new phrase because it's the best thing I ever read.
I have nothing to add.
See you next time. We'll talk about B in all its wonderful, beautiful glory.
Love you guys. Stay happy.
Bye.
언젠가 분명히 확실해 지나가 언젠가 분명히 여름이 오나 꽃이 짓고 열매가 있듯이 모든 것은 아파야만 해 세상을 안고 숨을 훅 들이마셔봐 내 폐 안에 가득 들어찬 따간 공기가 모든 걸 말해 그래 수없이도 마시고 싶었던 나파고 무뎌지던 오랜 시간들 바로 그 아래 Everyday I pray 내가 좀 더 나은 어른이 될 수 있게 And everyday I sky 사람도 아픔도 언젠가는 죽기에 무뎌지려는 바람을 맞아 하잖아 꿈속에서는 영원할 수가 없잖아 힘내라 우연 말 대신 다 그렇다 거짓말 대신 그저 이 모든 바람 바라던 기대에